Happy 2025. Guys, welcome into into the live stream here. So as you guys are popping into the live stream, just like so many other people already have, let me know where you're calling in from. First of all, say Happy New Year. Wish everyone good energy, good vibes. But where are you calling in from, and why are you showing up today to hang out with me for the next 90 minutes or so to plan an epic year ahead? Guys, where are you calling in from? And why are you showing up today? And I know there's a good mix of people today. There's a buddies of mine, Chris Persam. What's up, buddy? There's friends, there's family, there's customers, there's team members on here. So this is just something. It's kind of a tradition I started, I think 5-6 years ago. And 1 year I just pulled away and said, it's probably even before that. This might be 6, 7, 8 years we've been doing this. But 1 year I just said, well, shoot, why don't I just kind of open up and talk about what I'm thinking about for the year and reflect on the year with people? And why don't I just kind of share some of the things that work for me and don't work for me to be able to really make an amazing year ahead. So that's what we're going to do today. It's going to be a little bit different than I've ever done it before. So I'm running the entire thing off my iPad today because I'm going to be doing some drawings. I'm going to be, grabbing, you guys are going to be able to get the worksheets. And I'm going to show you here in a second kind of where we're going to be going. But welcome on in, everybody. We've got people from all over the place. So Lancaster, Pennsylvania, Georgia. What's up, guys? California. I'm going to be down in the LA area here next week for a few days. Chris, dude, what are you doing in South Carolina, man? Did you guys spend New Year's up there? We got Jason May from Kentucky. I was just there. Hey, Jason, I'm going to be heading back to Kentucky for the Derby this year. So I've never been to the Derby, but I've got good friends in Louisville, Kentucky. And we're going back. So my wife and I, we just finished up what I call my pre-stacked year. It's my pre-stacked year calendar. I'll show a version of that today. And Louisville, Kentucky is on there again this year. What's up, Garrett from Montana? We've got El Dorado, California. There we go. Paul, Coach Paul, he's about 35 feet away from me right now. We've got Ohio, Colorado, everything, guys. So amazing. We've got people from all over the place. This is just a joy for me to be able to do this. Whenever I turn into the new year, I go through a very specific process, and I've refined that process over the years, and I'm going to be giving you parts of that process. The reason I'm not going to give you guys the whole darn process is because it might overwhelm the heck out of you if we do it all in this 90 minutes. So we're going to be giving you a short workbook that is coming out of the workbook that I have for my private clients, my private coaching clients. We have an annual planning workbook that goes through the life side of things, my identity upgrade process, and it goes through the pre-stacked year process to really nail and make sure that we have the right things in the calendar for the year, and nailing your 5 non-negotiables for every single day. And then we go into the business side of it, and we're plucking out parts of that to be able to get you momentum today, which can be a blast. So guys, let me know in the comments box. I want to ask of y'all 100% participation here. Okay. If you're investing this time with me today and for yourself today, I want you to make sure that you're using it wisely. I want you to make sure that you're actually using this time, this 90 minutes or so. We might even go 2 hours. We'll see. I'll do some Q&A at the end, but I want to make sure that we're using this time wisely, that we have a chance to kickstart momentum today in these next 90 minutes to 2 hours for the next 365 days of your life, right? So if we can't carve out a couple hours of time on a Thursday to make the next however many thousands of hours are going to happen in 2025 even better, then when are you going to carve that time out? When are you going to do it? Right? If it's not now, when is it? And so you're already committing, you're stepping in and committing and making this time valuable for yourself. Get all distractions away. Shut your Instagram down unless you're going to post about this. I will have you go follow me here in a second. But just make this time with me today sacred, okay? Maybe one small tweak can completely change the way that you look at things. Every single year I get messages from people, and there's many of them over the years where I'm like, oh my gosh, I had no clue that guy or gal was even on the call. And a year later, they tell me that one call changed their life. It changed their life. This call, the Epic Annual Planning Call, changed their life because of perspective change, because of one quote or a story that I shared or a worksheet or a model. Guys, you guys might just need one thing out of this next 90 minutes to change your life. And that's my aim, is every single person on this call gets something that you can take and move into 2025 to make this the best year yet. Okay, I'm going to share with you my year, I had an insanely hard year this last year. It was the hardest year that I've had, but also the most special year that I've had. I'm gonna show you. I'm sure why. And some of the mindset shifts that I've gone through as we've done it. So, guys, if you're on this live view page, some people are saying, "Hey, when does it start?" Brandy, we're started, man. We're going. We're good. What's up, Brady? Good to see you, bud. And there should be on the live view page. So if you're watching this on YouTube or if you're watching this on Facebook, we're going to put up a link right there, carrot.com/epic25. So if you're wondering, hey, Trevor, where's this workbook, this planning workbook you're talking about? You got to go to carrot.com/epic25. It's going to get you registered, and then you'll see a link to the live view page. Okay. The live view page is where the links are going to be. It's where the workbook is. It's where the chat box is. So get off of YouTube, get off of Facebook, get over to the live view page. There we go, Andres. 8,760 hours per year. All right. So guys, I'm going to pull up the slide deck now, and we're going to dig in. And what we're going to be talking about today is once again planning an epic 2025. Okay. We're going to be planning an epic 2025. And I want to help you step into your greatness in 2025 and really unlock the experiences to drive fulfillment. I'm not going to be talking about growing net worth today. Okay. Hopefully your net worth will grow because of this. But what we're going to be talking about is how do we unlock more net fulfillment, right? How do we unlock more net fulfillment? Because if we're earning a bunch of income, but we're not leveraging that to actually make our lives and those lives around us better and driving fulfillment, then why are we earning the extra income, right? But then we're also going to walk through how do we plan the life? How do we plan the business and make sure that business serves us well? So guys, if you can put into the chat box, what is the reason you're here today? Number one. But then number two is as you head into 2025, if you could make one thing happen, what would that be? If you can make one thing happen, what would that be? Okay. So as we go throughout and as I read those, I'm going to be reading some quotes, but I love this quote from Steve Jobs. Steve Jobs says, don't be trapped in dogma, which is living with the results of other people's thinking. Don't let the noise of other people's opinions drown out your own inner voice. And most important, have the courage to follow your heart and intuition. They somehow already know what you truly want to become. Everything else is unnecessary, or everything else is secondary. And what I want to do in the rest of this call, y'all, is I want to help you pull out that intuition, pull out the things that you already know that you want to become. Like, who is it that you truly want to step into in 2025? What's that identity look like? What are the traits that you want to change? That you want to leave behind some habits and traits that just haven't been serving you, that have been holding on to you for years. And now this year we get to step into new traits. I'm going to show you some ways that you can do that. Okay. But then also what I want you guys to do is truly dream. Like, this is our chance to dream the next couple hours. I want you guys to dream. Okay. I want you to dream and leave behind limiting beliefs, leave behind the things that hold us back from dreaming. I want us to really nail, what do we truly want out of our lives? Okay. So 100% participation, guys. Thank you guys for already putting your things in. We've got more focus. We've got need to get more efficient with business and personal life to help create a business, not fractured team. Building out our lead form system. Great. So those are all tactics, right? A lot of those are tactics, and tactics are great. What we're not going to be getting into today on this particular call is the tactical elements of growing the business. We're not going to be getting into the tactics of, well, how do I optimize this system, or how do I do this this thing on my website? We're going to be going up into the 30,000 foot view. This is your chance to get up into strategy. This is your chance to get up into vision. This is your chance to get excited about where you're going. But I want you to reflect. What are you most proud of in 2024 that you want to celebrate? Pop it in the comments box, guys. I want to celebrate these with you. I always, anytime we hop on calls here at the Carrot team or with my private coaching clients in the Epic program, that's the first thing I always ask, like, what do you want to celebrate? What are the wins? So guys, let's celebrate some wins. Okay. Let's celebrate some wins for 2024. They could be small and simple. Man, I went on a trip this year. I finally got in shape. For me, I learned how to swim a couple years ago, but for me, one of my wins is I swam across that darn river and back with Coach Paul, who's on this call. I swam across that darn river and back in front of the house that I live in, because I didn't know how to swim until about 3 to 4 years ago. And that river, I wake up to it every single day. And every single day up until a few months ago, I'm like, I've never swam across that, and I want to swim across that darn thing. And I made it happen. It wasn't pretty, but I made it happen. All right, guys. And then what do you want to do better in 2025? So right here, guys, we've got some good wins. First deal. What's up, Tony? Awesome, man. First deal made 30K. Celebrating a thriving business, an amazing family. Heck yeah, dude. Chris Brisson, record year for sales message. Chris and I have known each other longer than anybody on this call. We met each other, I think it was probably 2008. Great friends, business partners. And Chris runs an amazing company that I've been fortunate to be a small part of, called Sales Message. So guys, if you are looking for an amazing product to help you do text message back and forth better, check out salesmessage.com. First SEO lead and first direct mail lead. There we go. Yeah, 100% Ben. Right here, Brian, I want to scale my agency 7 figures, 5 employees, more balanced work life. Love it. All right, guys. So keep those coming. Okay. So I want to set the stage with this. Okay. There's 4 paths that we can go on in life. And before we dive in and start getting up into the 30,000 foot view and start planning and start dreaming, I want us to think about, well, where are we going? What does the future look like? And there's 4 perspective paths, in my opinion. Okay. The first one up here is actually, we're starting over here. This is where you are right now, right? You are right here, right now. But we want to go, we're going to go in this direction one way or another. Either way, we're going to go to the right. Okay. The question is, do we go up into the right, or do we go down into the right? Do we, what I call, stay above the line, or do we go below the line? And many of us might be below the line right now, right? Or at times during the year, you might have gone below the line, but then you might have been able to get back above the line. Our aim is to keep you above this line in this training today. Okay. So how do we stay above the line? How do we stay in those spots of transformation and success? Those are the first 2 places we can go. Transformation is something, in my opinion, that we can't really stay in transformation, right? We can't stay in transformation. Transformation is something that we do every so often, right? We reach up into something new. We reach up into a new identity. We want to step into becoming a different or better person. We want to have our business hit the next level, right? We can't do that unless we reach up into transformation. But where we really want to be most of the time is success. We want to feel like we're successful. We want to feel like we're where we want to be, like we've accomplished the things in this part of our life that we want to accomplish. And this could be faith or family or friends or finances or fun or fitness. And I'm going to walk you through those 6 F's, those 6 life buckets here later in this call. Okay. But this is probably where most of us want to be. And then we every so often need to reach up into transformation here. Okay. Now, the problem that happens here is, let's say we did that a couple of years, man, we hit this spot where we were motivated and we were driven forward and we reached up into transformation. We're looking back going, man, I transformed my body. I got in the best shape of my life. Or, man, I left that job and I started a business, and this business is making great money. Or, man, I couldn't find a spouse. Now I have an amazing spouse and an amazing family. We had to transform in some way, right? But what can happen is, over time, if we don't do some of the things I'm going to walk you through here in a second, we can start to dip down into these other levels. Okay. So the first question, though, is, how do we transform? That's what we're aiming for in this call, on this epic planning call, is how do we actually transform? How do we drive towards transformation? Well, the first thing that we have to do is we have to design, right? We have to design. And designing means getting clear. Okay. I want to get clear on where we're going. I want to have a vision for where we're going. I want to know why the heck I want this, right? I want to know in my inner being why I want this. I think a part of design is also identity. I need to know who I need to become in order to step into that new business, that new life, that new relationship, that new body, that new whatever it is that we want. We have to design. Okay. Designing means I just get to pull back and I get to dream. Right? I get to dream of what I truly want. Okay. Designing is actually saying, what do I truly want? Not what do I think that other people want of me? Not what do I think is possible? What do I truly want is what designing is. I want you guys to leave all limiting beliefs behind in this call, and I'm going to help you guys do that. Okay. That's how we go into transformation. We say, well, where do we want to go? What does it look like? And then we can step into that. Okay, the problem that happens is, once we transform and we're in success for a little while, we forget that we've got to retransform over and over and over again, and we stay in default mode. Okay, we stay in default mode. Default mode is kind of where it's like, hey, it's just, this is how it's been. It used to work for me, and I'm going to keep on doing it. And default mode is okay for a little bit of time, right? We start to get comfortable here. Okay, we start to get comfortable here. In default mode, we're really not making any big choices, right? We're really not making any big choices. We're just kind of doing what we've been doing. Okay, we're coasting along maybe. And what happens when we're coasting along for too long and we're not making some of those choices is we lead to frustration. Guys, who right now is inside of yeah, that's right. My Uncle Larry said, I've known you since you were born. Heck yeah. That is 100% true. So that leads us to frustration. Guys, who in this call right now is in that frustration area? Who is in this area here where you're like, man, I can't feel like I can crack. I'm just not cracking through, right? I've had this goal or I've had this thing that I've been wanting to do, and for some reason, I even know what I need to do, but I'm not doing it, right? Oftentimes when we're in default mode, it's not a lack of choices. We have ideas, right? We have options. We know that there's all kinds of choices. I could do this to get in shape, or I could do this to get in shape, or I could do a Google search or go to Chat GPT, or I can hire a personal trainer. Or if I want to make more money, I can do SEO, or I can do wholesaling or flipping, or I can start an online company, or I can do this. I can get rental properties. We know there's all kinds of options. Usually it's not a lack of options when we're in default mode. Okay. What it is, and I'm going to walk you through here in a second. The key is something here and something here. And I'm going to walk you through what this is, and we're going to combat these throughout the rest of this call. Okay. So when we're in frustration for too long, guys, we're stacking up ideas. We might have a little bit of clarity in what we want, but usually in this phase, we have more clarity in what we don't want, right? We're like, oh my gosh, I don't like this. I don't like this. I don't like this. I don't like the way I'm showing up here. I know I don't want this. We have a little bit of clarity in what we want, more clarity in what we don't want. We're stacking up options, but we're not making moves and making choices. So we get frustrated. Frustration leads to drift. Okay. Drift. How does drift manifest? It's in your vices. We step into our vices, whatever your vice is. Your vice could be food. Your vice could be alcohol. Your vice could be, tucking away in the basement playing video games all day. Your vice could be social media and your actual devices. It could be pornography. It could be drugs. Whatever it is, it brings us away from the things that are good for us and can lead to destruction or failure. Okay, guys, you can see how this tumble starts to happen. And the question is, well, what gets us back above the line if we're below the line, right? What gets us back above the line if we're below the line? Usually it's one thing. Okay, it's one thing. Decision. If I could actually spell decision. You guys know what I'm talking about. Decision. What keeps us below the line? It's indecision. Okay. Earlier this year or last year, there was a couple challenges I was going through. Outside of family challenge, I'll talk with you here a little bit later on the call. And I was just sitting there going, man, I know what I need to do. Like, why am I not doing it? Why am I not doing this thing? Why am I stuck in default mode in this part of my life too much? And how do I get out of it? And I pulled back and I said, well, number one, am I clear what I want on the other side of this? Have I designed clearly enough? And I'm going to help you guys design in this call. Number two, okay, if I have designed clearly enough, do I know what I need to do? What are the different ways or what are the different options I can choose to move towards that? And I said, man, I've got some options here. And then I said, well, number three, the only thing for me left to do now is decide. The reason I was stuck in that spot wasn't because I didn't have some level of clarity where I wanted to go. I needed to get more clarity in what that looked like. So I did that and I got excited about it. I'll show you guys how to do that today. But then I looked at my options and I weighed them and I got rid of some of them. But then I said, I just need to make a decision now, because a decision means I'm moving in this direction. I'm saying no to this. I'm going to help you guys do that. Okay. So what we're going to do today, guys, is we're going to design number one. Okay. We're going to design. I want to move you guys towards transformation in 2025 and at least one key area in your life that you want to move. Number two, guys, I want to help you make a decision. What are the decisions you're going to make this year to finally move towards that future? Okay. That's where we're heading, guys. We want to move towards that future. And I want to help you guys dream. Okay, that's another D word right there. I want to help you guys dream. This all makes sense. Y'all pop in the comments box, guys. If this makes sense to you, if this resonated with you, pop in the comments box also. What about this resonated the most? Because this is how I think about life. Whenever I get below the line, I go, okay, I'm in default mode too much. Let me go back up into design. Let me get really clear. Am I excited? Where am I going? Let me remove limiting beliefs. What do I want to do? Let's get really clear on it, meditate over it, picture it, visualize it, write it down, whatever I need to do. Then I need to write down the options of what are some of the things I can do to get there. And I need to lock them in and move and go. Now I'm going to show you guys how to lock those in and move and go. Okay. Jim Rohn, one of my favorite guys, says you have two choices. You can make a living or you can design a life. The greatest step towards success is self-confidence. The greatest builder of self-confidence is self-esteem. And self-esteem comes from doing the daily things. Let me put this in airplane mode, y'all. I made a mistake. There we go. Airplane mode. Okay, we're back. Hopefully no more phone calls. Your self-esteem will start sooner. Your self-esteem will start to soar when you make some critical decisions to walk a new road, to start a new direction, to start a new discipline. Okay, guys, to start a new discipline. And I'm going to help you guys make the decisions. And I'm saying this from a point of experience, so not from a point of mastery, but from a point of I struggle with the same things. Okay, even a person who is worth well into the mid 8 figures, a person who has had a lot of successes, I struggle with these things. And so the reason I make these models and frameworks, and the reason I have great people around me, the reason I have a coach and part of masterminds is because I'm like, I falter, I drift, I do those things. And we have to have a process for getting back on track. So part of my process for getting on track is what I call my life and business vision stack. So when we think about planning, when we think about planning the new year, 2025, where a lot of us start is we start with goals, right? We start writing down goals and we say, hey, I want to make this much money, or I want to get in a relationship, or I want to lose some pounds, or I want to gain some weight, or whatever it is, right? We start with goals. And then what we do is we say, great, we've got these goals. Now let me make a list of things I need to do to hit those goals, right? Awesome. And then you can do those things and you may even hit those goals, and that's great. But the problem is I've done that before. I've hit those revenue goals. I've hit those other goals, and it did make me happier oftentimes. Okay, it led to a temporary sense of satisfaction for hitting the goal, but I actually realized I was out of alignment. I was in misalignment. I was in misalignment from back here. I was in misalignment from what do I truly want in my life, right? And so I actually flipped it around. I said, well, pretend that this is you. That's your eyeball. And you're looking at your goals. You're looking at your goals and you're going, okay, here's my goals over here. I want you to look at your goals through a different lens. I want you to look at your goals through a different lens. I want you to look at goals first through this lens of values, right? What are the values that I want to live by in my life? How do I want to show up? Who do I want to be, right? What are those values? Because those values are going to stretch ideally from you every day into your business. Okay, what are those values? Now, we're not going to talk a lot today about how to define our core values. That's something I do in detail with my private clients and my Epic coaching group. But that's key that we have to do that, right? And then the next thing is we have to go into identity. And I call it the identity upgrade process, okay? The identity upgrade process. I'm going to give you one worksheet from my identity upgrade process today. It's kind of the crescendo of the worksheets. There's 3 worksheets in total. I'm going to give you one of them that's the final one that I think is going to be really, really useful for you. But we have to be clear, like, amazing, to get to those goals, who do I need to become, right? This is who. Who do I need to become? Over here, this is kind of more why and a little bit of what, right? The vision. Okay, here's who I'm going to become. But man, what is that life that I'm going to be living when I'm that person? What does that life look like? The ideal average day. If I woke up, next week or next year, just wave a magic wand. It's you're where you want to be. What does that day look like from the second you get up till the second you go to bed? What experiences do you have? What room do you wake up in? What does the room look like? Is there a window? What's outside the window? You get up, where do you go? What's for breakfast? Who's in that room? What conversations do you have? What's outside of the window there? Do you go to work? If so, what time? Where do you go to work? Do you walk to work? Do you drive to work? If you walk, where do you walk? If you drive, where do you drive? What do you drive? What kind of car? Or a motorcycle or whatever. Okay. When you get to the office, if there is an office, who's there? What type of work do you do? When do you do the work? You guys see where I'm going with this, right? Getting insanely clear. Then and only then, guys, and I'm going to draw a hard line here. Then and only then do we have the permission to get into thinking about our business. Then and only then do we have the permission to start planning our business. What most of us do, guys, is we go and we only plan our business. We do 100% of our planning time on our business or our finances or our work if we're entrepreneurs, right? I would argue you need to spend 80% of your time doing this, 80% of your time getting really clear on the life you want to live, and just let's work on removing those limiting beliefs 20% of the time over here, because this is fully there to fulfill your life. Okay. So guys, you're at the right place if you if any of these things resonate with you. You keep chasing the next goal or achievement, but find it kind of never really brings lasting joy or fulfillment. And you know there's got to be more to life, right? You've already achieved your someday goals that you set years ago, but you're kind of not as happy and fulfilled as you thought you'd be. Or you feel like you're working your butt off and not getting closer to your ultimate goals, or your goals keep shifting, or every year you have the same goals you set, then you reset them, and you've thought, man, maybe I should just aim a little bit lower, or maybe it's just too hard for me. Maybe I'm, this isn't where I'm supposed to go. Or you want a better system for setting and achieving goals that sets you up for success in the new year. We're going to give that to you today. Or if you dip into the entrepreneurial funk, guys, who's ever been in the entrepreneurial funk, or who's in it right now? Right? Who's in it right now? I've been there. I get there every year, probably multiple times. And I think part of the key is not that we're not going to get there. It's that we have a process to get out of it. Right. Guys, let me know if you're resonating with any of these things that I've put up on the slide deck of these bullet points. What ones resonate with you? You've been grinding for months, maybe years, and things just don't seem to be breaking through for you. You're starting each day feeling overwhelmed at everything you have to do and little time to do it. And you keep hitting up against the wall and can't crack through to reach your vision for success, and you get discouraged. You find ways to create more happiness. You want to find ways to create more happiness and joy in life and business. Which one of those resonate the most, y'all? Which one of those resonate the most with you? So if you guys don't know who I am, I'm Trevor. I'm the guy leading this call today, and I'm, first of all, husband of my amazing wife, beautiful wife Carly, father of these crazy awesome kids and that dog Lily, and I'm a son of God, and founder of Carrot.com. We've hit the Inc. 5,000 list five consecutive years, 2-time top 10 most philanthropic small business in the state of Oregon. In Carrot, we've got 50 plus employees downtown. We own a few buildings we've purchased over the years. We're renovating them, putting amazing apartments upstairs and retail downstairs. And what I'm passionate about, like why I'm doing this call, why I do this call for free every year, is because I'm just passionate, y'all, about amplifying leaders. Right. I don't care if you're a leader of a business or a leader of a family or a leader of your role at work. If you aren't an entrepreneur or a leader at your church, I don't care. I'm passionate about amplifying leaders and entrepreneurs to make your greatest impact. And I know that we can't lead well and we can't make an amazing impact if we don't have clarity on where we're going, if we don't have a good plan. Right. So that's what today's about. And everything that you're going to see is from this thing that I call the Entrepreneur Freedom Formula. Okay. I don't have time to dive into this in deep detail right now, but this is something I sat across the street at a coffee shop about 7-8 years ago and drew this up. And I asked the question, what goes in the middle of this for me? Meaning, what am I optimizing business for? What am I optimizing business for as an entrepreneur? And I wrote down a lot of things. And for me, it kept coming back to these two words. It kept coming back to freedom and impact, right? I'm optimizing my business for freedom, to be able to go do what I want to do and to be with the loved ones I want to be with and have the experience I want to have and impact the people I want to have. And I want to impact those around me. Okay. And I sat there and I said, well, what are the ways to do that? How do we make that happen? And for me, it's three things: it's purpose, building a business with consistent profits, and then making sure that we have a chance to get our energy and time back. Okay. And within each one of these, there's these nodes that I have a bunch of playbooks and processes. You guys are getting a couple of those playbooks and processes on today's call that I dive in with my private clients on to help them through their business growth. Okay. And this right here, I want you guys, if you're, let me know in the comments box, who in here is an entrepreneur, who is an entrepreneur and running your own business, or who wants to be. Okay. Pop in the comments box. If you're in one of those camps, you are an entrepreneur, want to run your own business, or you want to be, pop in the comments box. And take a screenshot of this, because this is something I call the business growth levels. Years ago, I met a guy named Alex Sharfin at Russell Brunson's mastermind. And he showed me a way to think about levels in 3s and 10s. And that things change in those levels. What's demanded of us as an entrepreneur, what's demanded of us as a leader, has to change as we grow. And so I took the Entrepreneur Freedom Formula, and I said, well, as I was working with a lot of our private clients in the Epic coaching group here in Carrot, I was finding like, well, shoot, what I need to coach people on consistent profits or on energy and time, and the things they need to delegate are different if they're doing 300,000 versus if they're doing 8 million. It's different. So I sat here and I said, well, let me make the ultimate map of what business in life needs to look like according to the entrepreneur freedom formula at each revenue level. What pain lines are you going to hit that are going to stall out your growth that you need to grow through? What identity do you need to adopt to do well in that phase of business? And what identity do you need to adopt to grow through the next line, right? What does the purpose change? How does vision change? And so what we're going to be walking through today is we're going to be focusing a little bit more on this vision, on the purpose side of it, and a little bit on the strategy side of it. Okay, the rest of it down here, maybe some on the energy, but the rest, that's just not the call for today. Okay, but keep this in mind because this is something I have an entire podcast that goes through this in detail. All right, guys, the planning worksheets. We're gonna go through the planning worksheets in about half hour from now. First, I'm gonna do kind of my 2024 year-end update. And just giving you my biggest lessons of the year, my trials, my tribulations. But right here on the live view page, you might need to refresh the live view page. Okay, you might need to hit the refresh button if you don't see the links, but there should be a link to this right here, to the end of the year planning call workbook. It's a short workbook. I think it's 6 or 7 slides. And those came from this right here. Those came from my mega annual planning workbook for my private clients. Okay, these clients are paying between 10K and 80K a year to be able to work directly with me or in a group. And I put together kind of my ultimate my ultimate plan here, from the personal vision. How do we dive deep and plan the personal side deeply on the annual and create your 5 non-negotiables for the day, and then the business vision. And what we're doing today, guys, is I've grabbed out 6 worksheets that are going to help you get more clarity, help you get momentum for free from that my private clients have. Okay, guys. And I'm just going to drop this right now. There's not going to be a big sales pitch in this call. I do this because I love it. It gives me energy. But if you are a real estate entrepreneur, or I will be taking on 1 or 2 maybe non-real estate entrepreneurs this year for one-on-one coaching. But if you are a real estate entrepreneur and you want to become a part of an amazing group of about 30 others in my Epic program and work with me directly, and the other amazing people doing between 300,000 and 12 million a year in revenue, I want you to grab this QR code and go set up a discovery call with Brent or Pete on my team, and just talk through where are you stuck, where do you want to go, and they'll kind of lay out what the Epic program looks like, how I work with my private clients, and if you qualify for it. So guys, grab that, check it out. I do have a handful of spots we're opening up in that group. So we're going to dive into today this right here. Number 1, I'm going to do my year-end review. What went great, what didn't. Number 2, what were my 3 biggest lessons and mindset shifts? And then number 3, we're going to pull up those worksheets and be able to go through and start some planning today. Okay. So this last year, y'all, was quite the year. It was for me, it was a year for the record books, amazing things and amazingly hard things. And I want to add a little bit of perspective here. So this picture right here, and if I choke up during this, guys, I probably will. I very may well. But this is my younger brother, Kyle, over here. He's an entrepreneur. He worked for me way back in the day, and just so proud of the business he's building. He's building a company that's doing over 25 million a year now, changing the game in the sports world. If you guys watch baseball and you've seen all those crazy sliding mitts and you've seen all those crazy baseball gloves and guys like Jazz Chisholm and Bryce Harper and those types of ball players, Luke Weaver, they wear the gear. It's his gear. It's absolutely ridiculous. It's their company. Okay. There's me and there's my dad. My dad passed away a couple days before Thanksgiving this past year. And it's not unique to me, right? We're all going to go through and join that club that none of us wants to join. We're all going to join the club of a loved one or a parent or even a child passing. And we're going to eventually join that club as well. And this was a couple weeks before he passed. He had a really aggressive brain cancer. And in that last month before he passed, me and my brother, my brother lives in Nashville, and my older brother who lives there in Klamath Falls, Oregon, where my parents live, we all moved in with my parents. We just didn't even think twice about it. My mom didn't ask us to. We came from around the country, moved in with my parents about 5 weeks before he passed. And we're like, you know what? We're going to It's going to get me. And we're like, we're going to ride this one out together. We're going to ride this one out together. We're going to create, 10 years or a year's worth of moments in this 30 days. And we're going to help usher, dad out of this life gracefully. And we did. And it was hard. It was special. It was like, it was the most special month I've ever had, the most I've ever grown spiritually, the most I've ever grown relationally. And I really challenged myself to think about life a lot, right? You can't help yourself but think about life. You can't help it. And so let's kind of look at perspective a bit, right? This is a graphic I got from this guy on waitbutwhy.com. Absolutely love it. And this graphic represents one circle for each month. Okay, so each row is 3 years. Okay, 3 years. And then down here, that's kind of making the assumption that, let's say, a person lives to 90 years old. In my dad's case, he lived to 68 amazing years, which would be somewhere down here, right? But I want you to kind of look at this and peg, where may you be on this? Where may you be on this? I'm going to be right around here somewhere. Okay, I'm right around here somewhere. And act like, almost act like you've colored the boxes on all of the years that you've already lived. You've colored the boxes and all. I'm actually going to change those to a red or an orange. Okay, you've colored the boxes on all the years that you've already lived. Okay, I want you to visually see, number one, how much of that time, assuming if you were to live to 90, how much of that time do you have left? For me, according to this, it's a little bit less than half. But here's the thing. They're different years. My years when I was in my 20s are going to be way different years than when you're 85 years old, or when you're 75 years old, or when you're 65 years old, right? So we have to look at this and go, okay, well, how much life do I have? And what am I going to change today to make sure I'm squeezing every ounce of life out of what I've got? Now, not even that. Let's say that we have parents, right? In that example, one of the reasons we moved in with my parents that 5 weeks before, and I just didn't work at all during that 5 weeks, was because we're like, man, I want to create 10 years or a year's worth of experiences in those 30 days. How do you do that? You spend more time with those people. You do those things. You make a decision to say no to all these things so you can say yes to these things that are more important, right? So let's say that your parent is this age down here. Okay, well, how much time you might be up here, you might be up here, great. But if your parent is here, how much more time do they have left? If you live out of town, like I do and like my brother does, if you live out of town, or let's say you live out of state and you visit your parents 4 times a year, and your parent is this old, and let's say that they maybe theoretically have 5 or 10 years left, that means you have 40 visits. You don't have 10 years, you have 40 visits. 40 visits. Okay, so every single visit that you make to your parents, if you're only visiting 4 times a year, check it off the box. That's 39, then 38, then 37, then 20, then 5. We only have 2 visits left. I want us to think about life in this way. I want us to think about life this way. When we recognize that we don't have all the time in the world, we see our priorities most clearly. We see our priorities way more clearly when we recognize that we don't have all the time in the world. But you know what? We do have right now. We have this second. We're not guaranteed tomorrow. We're not guaranteed next week. We're not guaranteed next year. But we have this second. We have this second to avoid distraction and to do the things that matter, that are the most important to us. Okay, let me read this passage from one of my favorite books. One of my favorite books is probably a book that almost no one has ever listened to or ever read. Okay, other than if you've connected with me, because I've talked about it quite often. And this is a book that that is one of the simplest books in the world to read. It's called The 5 Pieces to Life's Puzzle by Jim Rohn. One of the best books in the world. I suggest everybody read it every year. It should be required reading out of high school and college. Like, no human being should make it past high school or college and not read this book. Okay, it should be like one of the life the guides of life. And in this book, one of the passages he says, the future rewards are always there waiting for us. As certainly as we once dreamed, we can dream again. As surely as we once believed, we can believe again. No matter where we are right now, we still have the ability to change it all. Okay, the journey towards success is a journey of 1,000 steps. And it begins with a single book. or a single promise, or a single webinar like this, or a single decision you're going to make finally kept. It begins with the awakening of our sleeping spirit brought on by dreams. Guys, we're going to dream today that all that could be. Any day, we can choose to stand up and take the first step on a journey that can lead us to a new and better way of life. We must not expect the results merely because we've begun the activity, but with continued effort, okay, and certain steps, surely will come our future rewards. Because if you've been in a spot where you've been beat down a little bit and your confidence has been hit a little bit, I want to give you permission to dream today. I want to give you permission to dream and leave behind those limiting beliefs, leave behind the things that are holding you back, leave behind the comments from other people that don't matter, leave behind those past failures. Those are learning lessons. They're not things that dictate what you're going to be in the future. And I want us to step in and say, we're going to dream. We're going to take the first steps today. We're going to map out what those certain steps are going to be. We're going to take continued effort. We're going to make it happen. Guys, can you guys commit today to dreaming? Can you guys commit today to dreaming? Let me know in the comments box if you can commit today to dreaming. Number one. Number two, can you commit today to coming out of this call with one certain step? Just one step. I hope I give you several steps, but can you come out of today with one, committing to taking one step today? One step. And guys, I'm going to hold the bar freaking high for you today. Okay. I'm not saying one step I hope you get to next week. I'm saying one step that you're going to take. You're going to make a decision. You're going to do today. Capital T-O-D-A-Y, today. Everyone, let me know in the comments box if you can commit to this. Okay, I love it. Thank you, Larry. Yes, and yes, yes, I'm in. Love it, guys. So here's my 2024 year in review. I heavily indexed on family, friends, and faith this year. I'm going to walk you through my six F's, the buckets that I kind of placed life in. We did a lot of cool things this year, had a lot of awesome experiences, launched some new products at Carrot, which I'm excited about. But there are other parts of my life that weren't as good, and I'll share those with you as well. Okay. So one thing that I do every year, and this is kind of one of the final things that I do when I wrap my planning, you guys will kind of see how I get there. But one of the final things I do when I wrap my planning is I come up with what I call an identity statement. Okay. And guys, I added this late to the game. So there's a worksheet that I have that helps you get to your identity statement that is in this deck. So that the slide deck slides have it. The workbook slides, or the workbook PDF doesn't. But you can grab it from the slide deck slides if you want it. I'll show you here in a second. Okay. But my 2024 identity statement, what I do is every year after I make my goals and after I really set my eye on like, who do I need to become? Who do I want to become to fulfill that vision? Where do I want to go? What does it look like? And then I boil it down to what are some habits and disciplines and traits that I want to change in my life or improve or adopt. And then I pull back. And for me, I go straight to scripture. I go straight to scripture and I say, okay, I didn't used to do this. I used to go to Google and type up like, XYZ quotes on consistency or whatever. And now for me and my beliefs, I go straight to scripture and I say, okay, show me some scripture about X. And for this year coming into 2024, you know what? I had some confidence hits, honestly, because when things work for you so well for so long, and then all of a sudden they don't in some areas of your life. Sometimes it can start to hit confidence. You start to maybe feel a little bit of imposter syndrome in there, right? And I had some confidence hits. I think I wasn't making some decisions that I should have been making. I was in default mode in some areas of my life too much heading into 2024. And I'm like, man, why am I not making decisions? And it really manifested from fear, I think. Just fear I was going to make the wrong one. So I would just delay and default on some of these key decisions. And also, you know what? With my dad's diagnosis in August of 2023, I'm like, you know what? I'm going to heavily index on love this year. I just want to step into love. I want to love better. I want to love God better. I want to love my wife better. I want to love my kids better. I want to love my friends and family better, my team better. I want to love better. Okay. So I found this quote, this scripture, which was amazing for me. So I pick a scripture every year. That's my defining scripture each year. This screenshot, guys, is actually from my phone and Apple Notes. And then I put it as the background of my phone. So my scripture for 2024 was, for this reason, I remind you to fan into flame the gift of God, which is in you through the laying on of my hands. For God gave us a spirit, not of fear, but of power and of love and self-control. Those are some areas I wanted to improve in my life. I wanted to step in without fear. I wanted to unleash my power, unleash my greatness. I wanted to love better. And honestly, I wasn't very disciplined. I needed more self-control. Okay, so I boiled it down to an identity statement then. I'm a son of God with the spirit of power, love, and self-control. I confidently use the gifts God has given me to make the world a better place every day. And then I whittle it down to 5 non-negotiables. I'm going to show you guys how to do this. And I've got a worksheet for you in the slide deck for the non-negotiables. I want to read daily, I want to write daily, I want to sweat daily, I want to post content daily, I want to engage with 5 people daily. Now, I did really, really good on some of these things. I didn't do really great in some of those things. So I'm going to work on some, and I'm going to walk you through what that looks like. But for me, I finished my planning with this. I'm showing you this first to show you the end goal because I keep this in front of me every day. I review this 2 to 3 times a day, every single day. I keep that in front of me because if we don't have it in front of us, our identity starts to get shaped by what we're absorbing. We start to get shaped by that Twitter feed that we're reading. We start to get shaped by that news feed that we're reading. We start to get shaped by the Instagram crap that's coming at us, or the TikTok crap that's coming at us, or the family member or friend who's telling us that we're not good enough because they themselves don't believe they're good enough. Right? We start to get shaped by those outside influences. And this is me putting on that armor and saying, man, I know the world will shape me. I know that I'm susceptible to that stuff. I know that I don't have crazy strong willpower oftentimes. I've got to put on that armor and shape the narrative that's coming at me. Okay, guys? So this would have been about 5-6 years ago, I think. This book landed on my doorstep, and at that time, it was years that went by. I had no clue how it got there. No clue how it got there. I didn't order it. I never had heard of the guy, never heard of the story. The cover looked like it was some sort of romance novel, right? I'm like, I'm not going to read this book. And my wife, as she does when books come in from Amazon, she unpackages it, puts it on the counter, and said, "Hey, you've got a book over here." And I looked at it, I'm like, I didn't order that book. There was no gift name, there was no from name, there's no nothing. And I let it sit there for months. And then finally, I had to do something with this book because I hate throwing books away, but I had to do something with the book. And so I picked up the book and I said, well, what's this thing about? Right? Okay, how my forthcoming death transformed my life. I flipped it to the back. Here's the book right here. I flipped it to the back and I started reading it. And this guy, Eugene O'Kelly, was the CEO of KPMG, one of the big 3 accounting firms, multi-billion-dollar company. He was the CEO for 30 years at that company. Okay. And he passed away from a crazy aggressive terminal brain cancer. And in this book, he walks through in his final 4 months of life how he's processing achievement, how he's processing life and relationships and love and faith. And I suggest everybody get this darn book, y'all. I mean, it's such an amazing read. I want to read it again this next year. The crazy thing that happened is I had no clue that this book landed on my doorstep for more than one reason. I needed it because it really helped me recognize something he calls perfect moments. Help me recognize that we can every single day, every single instant, we can slow down and we can create intentional perfect moments. Okay, where more often it makes time stretch out and the years become fruitful. Time slows down, senses arouse, everything in those moments just get right. These moments are what makes life sweet. Right? Busyness makes having perfect dreams hard. The busyness of life squeezes out those perfect moments. Examples are a shared glance, letters to loved ones, phone calls with people we care about, walks in the park, fabulous meals, intimate conversations. That's straight out of the book. And I challenged myself that next year. I'm like, you know what? I'm going to increase the consistency and intensity of perfect moments, of just those moments where time slows down. We're focusing on each other. And this is something we can lock in. We can squeeze out 10 years of life in 1 year. What I didn't know was, fast forward 3 to 4 years, that same exact brain cancer that this guy passed away from is what my dad would get. And while my dad had more than 4 months, he had about 15 months. I found myself living that year, this last year in 2024. I said, man, not only does my dad have the same cancer, but this is an opportunity to squeeze more perfect moments out in 2024 than ever. And so while I indexed on perfect moments and faith and family, there are some parts of my life where I didn't do as well. And I'll walk you through what that looks like. But I'm going to pull up some pictures. Here's a few memories, guys. This is something I love to do every year. One of the reasons I love doing this epic annual planning call is because I want to be able to reflect. And this forces me to reflect on the year, and I love it. So this year, guys, one of the things that my dad, he's highly passionate about classic cars. And he gave each one of us boys one of his 3 classic cars. And he said, my only ask before I pass is that we get it in a car show together. And we all came from around the country, got the 3 cars in the car show together. Each one of the cars actually won an award that day, which had never happened in my dad's cars. And I think it was just so cool. And we got the cars lined up in front of the street that was named after him this past year, Harry Mock Way, that goes into the local youth sports complex that he was hugely influential in building. We did the car show. I learned how to swim a few years ago, guys, but this river in front of my house has been taunting me for years. And so this year, Coach Paul, who's on the call today, and my friend Dave, who works out with me on Monday, Wednesday, Fridays in my workout crew, and his son and Paulson Ashton, we swam across that thing, guys. It wasn't fun at all. It was what I would call it was type, I would say it's type 3 fun at the moment. Type 1 fun, it was fun the whole time while you were doing it, and when you're looking back. Type 2 fun is like, man, that was not fun when I was doing it, but looking back, it was fun. Type 3 fun is it was never fun. And that for me was never fun because the water was freezing ass cold. I felt like I was going to drown about 5 times, but I made it there and back. And I want to make it there and back this next time, but actually have fun with doing it. We wanted more lamb shows this year with my son than ever. He's highly passionate about this, and we're going to probably double that number this next year. We took my parents to Ireland. This is my brother and his wife, Kavanaugh, my mom and dad. We went to Ireland and buzzed around Ireland for a week and a half and saw castles and drank Guinness and did amazing things. We finished projects in some of our downtown buildings and putting out killer apartments. And my wife and I did some amazing trips this year. We went to Philadelphia and Richmond, Virginia with my friend Daniel Clayman and visited our big project that we've got going on there. We ran the Rocky Steps this year. We went and saw concerts. I'll open up my eyes there. We went and saw concerts. And this is us with Clay Walker, me and my son Colton, a family friend, is good, close friends with Clay Walker. Clay calls me up. We hop on his bus after the thing. We just have an amazing experience. We go to a Dodgers game the year that they win the World Series, and we see Shohei hit a home run. Took my daughter on a work trip. I was going to Chicago to speak at a software event, and I said, well, McKinley, do you want to go? We cut school for 5 days. She came to Chicago with me. We ate at our first ever Michelin star restaurant together. We toured the town. So many other experiences. We rolled out Carrot CRM this year. We launched a CRM. So if you guys are in the real estate space and want a better CRM, we have a free version. It's a legit free version. We launched it. We're going to be hitting it hard. And like I said, the thing that defined the year for me was my dad and my hero passed this year. It was the hardest but most special year of my life. And this scripture really held me through for many of those months. James 1, count it all joy, my brothers, when you meet trials of various kinds, for you know that the testing of your faith produces steadfastness. Okay. You're being tested every single day, y'all. And let that steadfastness have its full effect, that you may be perfect and complete, lacking in nothing. The last couple of days that my dad passed, I remember running out of scripture to read. We were reading scripture a couple times a day that last month and a half, and praying quite often and multiple times a day. And I remember a couple days before he passed, I ran out of scripture to read because I felt like, man, all the obvious ones are gone. My pastor, he gave me suggestions. My friends did, and the Bible apps did, and I just prayed that day. I'm like, God, give me the right scripture, and He did. He gave me Romans 8. Which for me, and in that moment, was exactly what my dad and I needed. That book will probably change my life. I think it could change the life of every single person on this call. But this year was hard, and so I've had to really look at it and say, well, how do I take this this pain into 2025, and how do I now use it for good? How do I go, well, this wasn't done to us. How is it done for us? Although I want my dad back. My wife, or my mom wants her husband back, right? But we know he's in an amazing place, and God didn't take him from us. All of us are going to die, right? But here's what happened was his story has inspired so many other people to come to faith. His positivity, his outlook on life is what fueled me and what allows me to get up in front of you guys to do this. I, I I'm a direct reflection of my dad's energy. And so I'm so grateful for that. And he and his impact is going to live on. And so I bucket life in these buckets. Okay, faith, family, fitness, friends, finances, and fun. And if I were to kind of give myself some grades, 1 to 5, 5 being up here, 1 being down here, 5 being it couldn't get any better, 1 being it couldn't get any worse. I was right around here on faith this year. It was an amazing faith journey. Read the Bible more, just dove in and teased out some things heavy. I would say down here, family was high too. You know what, guys? This year, fitness, I let some things slide, and I don't like it. I'm not proud of it. My standard lowered too much, especially that back part of the year, and I made excuses. Well, it's like, man, I've got to dive in over here, and I'm moving in with my parents now, and this and that, and yeah, it's made excuses. That's not going to happen. I got to raise those standards back up. Friends, I think it was a great year for friends this year. My workout crew, Monday, Wednesday, Friday, amazing. Love those guys. A group of us get together, and we have for well over a year. Amazing entrepreneurs, friends, men of faith, family men, great dudes. Finances, it was decent, right? I mean, we didn't grow in any leaps and bounds in any of my businesses. There's some spots that we need to get way better at. We even shrank in some areas, and it isn't good. I don't like it, but I'm okay that I heavily index in these areas. And we'll focus on pulling some of those levers there. Fun, had a lot of fun this year. So in general, there was some balance on some spots. You didn't do as good here, didn't do as good there. Over here, heavily indexed in these areas here, and going to get better there. Okay, so that's kind of how I look at things. So what were the 3 biggest lessons? Then, guys, we're going to open up the back part of this call. That the last hour, we're going to work up the planning. We're going to whip up the planning workbook with you guys, and we're going to start planning. So what were my 3 biggest lessons of 2024? Okay. For me, it was the power of decision or indecision, priority, and knowing what I hired my business to do for me. So the first thing I want to put out there is, like we talked earlier, transformation equals decision. Okay, comfort can lull us into default mode, like we talked before. We know we want to change, but indecision keeps us below the line. And that's what I really had to tease through this year, because like I said, there were some spots in my life where I'm like, man, why am I know what to do. Why am I not unlocking that? Even myself, a person who everyone on this call would probably say is accomplished and all these things. And I agree. I'm so grateful for what I've been able to accomplish and the people in my life and all that is in the past. I'm so grateful for that. Okay. But I know that there's so much more in the future. There's so much more in store. There's so much more impact I want to make. There's so much more in the tank. I don't even feel like I've got started. And so when I look at it, I'm like, damn, why is it that I'm not where I want to be in some key areas? Well, my friend and coach for Shoot, Dan coached me for 6 years before Dan Martell was Dan Martell. Okay. Before he wrote the book, before he did all those things, I'm actually in his book. Before Dan was Dan, he was my coach. And I love this post he made on Instagram a little while ago. He said, to be honest, most resolutions die by February. Why? Because changing your calendar doesn't change who you are. Real transformation isn't about dates. It's about decisions. Okay. Real transformation is about decisions, not dates. Decisions. I want you to become someone who doesn't need a special occasion to level up, someone who takes massive action every day. I've seen thousands of entrepreneurs change their identity and not slide back, blaze a new path forward with an achievement roadmap. Okay. But you've got to decide to go all in. Okay. There's some key areas that as I was looking at things, I'm like, okay, where do I need to decide to go all in? Where do I need to decide to say no? Where do I need to decide to step into something and say yes and stop being lukewarm about those things? Okay, I want you to think about the same thing for you. Where are you lukewarm on some things that if you became convicted on it, it could change your life? But maybe there's fear holding you back. Maybe there's limiting beliefs holding you back. Maybe you think that there's a resource issue, but there's something stopping that decision. It could be to get healthy. It could be to get in shape. It could be to find the spouse. It could be to grow your business or start a business. It could be to change the business that you're in because you don't like it anymore, right? Chris Brisson, who's on this call, he and I went through some big decisions back when we were first getting in business together in 2000, 10, 11, 12. We had to make some big decisions. And when we sit in indecision too long, we stay in default. That's where frustration, drift, failure, and destruction happens, right? But then we both pulled back, made key decisions, and we're both running companies that are insanely highly successful now. Okay, decision. Where do we need to make decisions? The vision drives every decision. So if we're struggling with decision, we just have to ask the question, well, shoot, if I'm struggling with decision, well, what do I got to do? Like we said in that 4 paths thing, well, we got to design first. We have to be clear on the vision that we're going after. Designing what you want, getting clear on vision makes making decisions far easier, right? Without that clarity, or when you hold back believing you can have what you truly want, and you settle for what others think that you want for you. I can't even read right now. And settle for what you think others want for you, or what you think is possible. We avoid decision. So if we're avoiding decision, let's go back up into design and say, what do I truly want? Let's get that vision clear. Okay. So here's one action item from this learning lesson from me about decision. Decision is the key to drive forward into transformation. You have to decide, yes, all in, like Dan said, and I'm going to move in this path, which means saying no to a bunch of other things. I want you to write down right now. What one area do you want to transform the most in 2025? Write that down on a piece of paper. What one area do you want to transform the most in 2025? And you can use those 6 F's. Okay. Faith, family, friends, fitness, fun, finances. You can use those 6 F's. Okay, what one area do you want to transform the most? And I've got the worksheet here in a bit where we're going to go through that 6 F's together. Write down why you want to transform that. And write down what your wave of magic wand version of that thing is. If you want to transform your fitness, what does that look like? How do you feel? What do you look like? What are you able to do when you are in better shape? Okay. If it's business, ask yourself, well, who do I need to become? What habits do I need to adopt? How do I need to change my day? Where do I need to get rid of things that aren't serving me? Okay. And I want you to write down one single action that you can do today, every single day, to make that thing inevitable. We're going to get to that here in a bit. Okay, I'm going to move a little bit quicker through these so we can get to the planning worksheets. Lesson number 2, guys, is grow through or scale back. Whenever we hit those pain lines, like I walked through earlier in business, when we hit those pain lines, what oftentimes happens is we hit these spots. I'll walk through here. We hit these spots where we're like, man, what am I going to do? Okay, what am I going to do? Either I'm going to figure this thing out and I'm going to grow through it, right? Or man, I'm gonna sell, or if I can sell the company, or maybe I'm going to scale back, or another one is sabotage, right? But when we hit those pain lines, we will oftentimes not do the very things that we need to do in business or life to make it to where we want to go, because we know that if we do more action, if we sell more product, if we make more phone calls, if we answer those emails or whatever, that it's going to cause more pain. Because that spot that we are in our business, we now have maxed out our ability or our identity on running that business. A saying that I like to say is our business will never outgrow our identity. We can say the same thing for faith or for fitness. Your fitness level will never outgrow your identity. Your health level will never outgrow your identity. Your financial picture will never outgrow your identity. Your relationships with others will never outgrow your identity. Okay, your business will never outgrow your identity. What does that mean? That means in order to have a bigger business, in order to get more healthy, we have to first become the person inside that is worthy of being healthy. We have to change our habits. We have to change who we are. We have to change what we think about us in order to make that happen. And when I was hitting this spot this last couple of years, I was asking that question. It's like, oh, shoot, do I scale this thing back, or do I grow through this, or what do I want to do? But you can't do both. You can't do both. Both are okay options, but you can't stay in the middle. That's that stagnation. That's indecision. So I came across this book. So anybody who is, let's say, $8 million and above in revenue, you got to read this book. Anyone who has more than 15, 20 employees, you got to read this book. Okay. It's called No Man's Land. I once got another book that almost no one's probably heard of in this call. And out of this, Doug Tatum, I love what he says. It says, you must recognize what the entrepreneur is or was strong at that led to the initial growth in the first place, and know that the business as a whole must become good at doing what the entrepreneur did well, or it will stall out or shrink. Okay. And when that happens, you have three things. You can say, okay, I recognize it. What got us here won't get us there. And these are the things that I do so well that got us here, but I can't do them anymore because there's so many things to do. I can either grow through that, meaning I need to build a self-sustaining business, which is growing its size, and I need to get the company amazing at those things that traditionally it's been looking to me for. Or I can sell the company and just say, you know what, I'm just ready to sell. I'm ready to exit to a larger company. I can cash out, or I can go work for that company as their de facto R&D, or I can scale it back. And this is something, guys, I think that there's a big stigma around scaling back a business. The people that I work with in my Epic coaching program, that's one of the big conversations we have. Is one was doing a little over $2 million a year in revenue, and he was hitting the major pain line. And we were talking about it. He's like, well, I got to grow. And I'm like, well, do you got to grow? I don't know. Maybe you don't. Maybe you don't have to grow, right? Maybe if your life vision is X and it's only going to cost X to live that life vision, and here's the impact you want to make, and you're already able to do that, even at a smaller company, why do you need to grow? Just because someone in a mastermind has a bigger business doesn't mean you got to grow, right? And so scaling it back is a real option. It might not be an accepted option in a lot of the circles that you run in, but it's a real option in God's kingdom, guys. Don't go out there doing work that is not going to be moving towards the things that are actually important in life. Okay. So here's an action item. Stuck and not sure if you want to grow or scale back? Ask without fear or constraints. Assume anything is possible. Which path will truly get you to your vision? Right? What path will truly get you to your vision? And don't care about what other people think about it. Don't care if the numbers are smaller than Johnny's, because Johnny's vision might be different, or he may be chasing a path that's leading him to a lack of fulfillment, and he'll figure it out eventually, or he'll crash and burn. Okay, guys, but I want you to write down, if you're stuck, which path will truly get you to your vision? Think about that as you're doing your planning. Number 3, what did you hire your business to do for you? This is a question that popped in my mind a couple of years ago as I was going through a similar thing. But the reason I bring it up for 2024 is I really stepped into this deeply in 2024 and said, okay, let me make sure I'm insanely clear what I've hired my companies to do for me. Okay. Because these companies didn't hire me, I hired them. But sometimes we act like our companies hire us, like we work for them. No, that company works for us. And I'm not talking the people in the company. I'm talking physically the entity of this company, this thing that you started. It works for you. You do not work for it. And so when I flipped the script and I asked that question, because we hire employees, we hire consultants, we hire other people to help do things for us, right? We hire people to do things for us. And if they don't do those things, or if the outcome isn't driven, what do? We make a change, right? We make a change. But what happens is we oftentimes don't make the change in our businesses because we don't think that we can, because we think that we work for the business. Every second you think that you work for your business is a second that you're letting your business control you versus letting your business fuel the life vision that you have. Okay. Now, I'm not saying, guys, that every moment, every day, every month, I'm in a spot where I feel like that business is 100% serving my vision. But we have to ask the question all the time. If anything pops up in your mind where you're getting your energy drained too often, where it just feels like work is work too much, right? We have to, or even if you're working for somebody else, if you have a job somewhere, you have to ask the question, what did I hire this job to do for me? That job didn't hire you. You made a conscious choice to go accept a position somewhere. Maybe it wasn't the ideal job. Maybe there weren't a lot of positions open, but you made a conscious choice to go get a certain set of skill sets, to spend your time a certain way that allowed you to get a certain job. And now you can make a conscious decision to get different skill sets, to go out there and get a different job if you want to, that serves you in a different way. You have to ask a question. What did I hire this job to do for me? What did I hire this business to do for me? And one of the books that I read this year that was so amazing, that for the second time, I got this from my friend Daniel Clayman. I was in his office, in his house. He's like, dude, you haven't read this book? I'm going to give it to you. So he gave it to me and I finally read it. But he said, it's Die with Zero with Bill Perkins. Read it, guys, especially if you have any sort of wealth right now. Read the book. But he said, money equals life energy. Money represents life energy. Life energy is all the hours you're alive doing things. And when you work, you spend some of that finite life energy. So when we work, we earn money. And when we earn money, we earn the ability to trade that money for more life energy, which could be experiences or impact for other people or your health or whatever it is. And there's an optimal time period here where we can do that, right? So if we look down here, he says, he argues for this concept here of traditionally what people do is they try to build a net worth that looks like this, that light gray line. They say, I want my net worth to go up. But we know a lot of people who have grown their net worths, but they're not using it, right? They have all these unyielded life experiences that this life energy that they can never use now. They spent 10 extra years of their life working to earn that $800,000 that's sitting in the bank account when they pass away. What if they didn't work those 10 years and they did what they wanted to do, and instead we aimed for spending all of our money? What if we didn't aim for stacking up all this stuff to later give to other people? What if we give to our kids? What if we give to the charities now while we're alive rather than doing it after we pass? What if we look at revenue and money not as something we stack and hopefully we hold until forever, but most people who have any level of real retirement savings, doesn't have to be a lot, but any level of it, most people don't outspend it. Most people, it is left there unspent. So if you have $300,000 unspent, and on average you made, let's say, $50,000 a year, what is that? That's 6 years worth of work that you put into earning that $300,000 that you never used to improve your life. 5 or 6 years worth of your life work, thousands and thousands and thousands and hours and hundreds of days that we put into doing something that didn't end up getting used. Okay, guys, so read that book. Action here for you. Are you working for your business more than it's working for you? If you could wave a magic wand, what would you get rid of today that drains your energy the most? Pick one thing. I want you to write down one thing. What's one thing that you could get rid of today? Maybe you won't get rid of it today. Maybe you get rid of it over the next 90 days. But pick one priority, and I want you to think about it. What's draining your energy the most right now in your work or your life? Is there a certain activity? Is there a certain thing that you just keep on doing over and over again? You're like, man, but I've got to do it. No one else can do it. If it drains your energy, guys, it needs to go. There's people in this world who can do that thing and it gives them energy. Okay. Don't have the false belief that only you can do that thing, because I guarantee you every single thing in your business someone else can do. That's something I still struggle with. Okay. Last one, guys, get away, think, pray, let your mind wander, unplug. Okay. We're way too overstimulated. I want to show you guys a stat. And then after this tip, and I'm going to show you this framework here, then we're going to dive into those worksheets. And we'll spend about half hour, 45 minutes on those worksheets, because you're not going to get all your planning done today. I want to give you the motivation, the inspiration. I want to have you shift your mindset, because in order to even put the right things on those darn pieces of paper, our mind has to be in the right spots first. It would be an insane, it would not work at all if I invited you on this call and all we did was go through these worksheets, because you'd be writing down the things that your current beliefs, that your current dreams are limited by. I'm trying to unleash those dreams, unleash those limitations. So then when you sit down and quiet over the next 3, 4, 5 days with these worksheets, you get the right things down. Okay, that's why I'm focusing so hard and so heavy on changing brain before we put down the actions. So time spent using smartphones annually. According to recent data, the average person spends 4 hours and 37 minutes on their phone every day. That's the equivalent of over 1 day per week or 6 days per month, guys. Across the year, that's 70 days spent looking at a phone. I want you guys 100% participation here. Pop in the comments box. What is the amount of time that you're spending currently on your phone? And you can look it up right now. Like you can pull it up on screen time, or I have an app I'm going to show you guys here in a second called Opal. Opal was probably my favorite, one single app. Opal is my favorite app of the year. Okay, I used it the most. I think it changed my life the most. It was like $100 for the year or something like that. Okay, guys, so pop in your time if you have it. Literally pull up your screen time, read it off, and put it into the chat box for accountability. If it's embarrassing, good. Be embarrassed. My number's embarrassing right now. I looked at mine before this. I'm like, damn, that's got to change in 2025. This last couple of weeks has not been good. Okay, hasn't been good. So put in your number. This app Opal, like I said, I adopted kind of earlier in the year, and you can just get it. There is a free version, I think, but I think it was like less than $100 a year. Okay, so guys, 6 to 9 hours. There we go. So if we're looking at our goals, if we're wondering why we're not clear, if we're wondering why we can't design, if we're in frustration mode, if we're drifting, if we're in default mode and keep doing the same things, we're in that mode, y'all, because we're distracted. Okay, because we're distracted, we can't get out of distraction by being in our phone. We can't get there. And so what Opal does, and I don't make any money from doing this, you can set these sessions. And so these are some of the sessions that I actually have set. Um, Dinner with family, 6 to 7, wind down, 9 to 12, good sleep, good life, 12 to 3, morning, 6 to 7. And so I have these sessions set where it's like a hard block on apps. I can't get into Instagram or Facebook or any of those things in there. I have hard limits on YouTube. I have hard limits on those things because I've learned for myself, y'all, that I will step into distraction easily. I will step into it. Okay, this was actually a screenshot of mine from the last week. And I'm like, oh my gosh, this is not good. I'm going to get it back down to under 2 hours a day is my aim. Now, part of this we can justify and say, well, Trevor, like it's for business, right? I'm on Slack on there, and I'm on Instagram on there, and I'm watching these cool YouTube videos, and I'm recording videos. Okay, good. If you're producing, I think that's the thing. If you're actually producing, okay, if you're producing value, and that's where the majority of that time is, great. Use that time for producing. If you're consuming, okay, that's where I want us to think about it. That's not good. Get rid of that. Ask yourself, how many of these hours we're consuming versus producing and creating? How many of these hours are producing versus creating or versus consuming, guys? That's the key here. So get Opal, set those limits. But I'm going to walk you through this model that I created called the momentum meter. Okay. So this would have been early 2024. And guys, let me pause for a second because I know we're over an hour in now. We're hour and 20 minutes in, and we're going to dive in, like I said, into the worksheets. I'm a little bit later on the worksheets, but are you guys enjoying this? Let me know in the comments box. Are you enjoying this so far? Are you enjoying this so far? We're almost at the worksheets, guys. Worksheets are right here. Okay, we're there. Worksheets are right here. Bam, bam. We're just a few slides away. Okay. So are you guys enjoying this so far? What has been your biggest takeaway so far? Pop it in the comments box. What's been your biggest takeaway so far? And what I want to do, y'all, is one of my things for this year, one of my things for 2025 is I want to be a better coach, a better leader for more people. Okay. And so I did mention my Epic coaching group. Which has all of these workbooks, all these trainings, which has access to me, which has an amazing group of high achievers, which has monthly momentum accountability groups, has in-person events twice a year. We get out of the weeds and the quarterly, 2 in-persons and 2 digital events. We have our coaches, guys. This group is changing lives. Okay. And I've kept it small. It's about 30, 35 people right now. We're bringing in another 5 to 10 into that group here for the new year. And I'm going to be taking on one-on-one coaching client, which is a much larger investment than the Epic group. But the Epic group is way less than you think it is. Okay. It's definitely less than you think that this is going to be. You do have to be earning to be in the Epic group. Number one, we want you to be in real estate or home services / construction. Okay. You've got to be doing at least minimum $300,000 a year already. Our biggest person is doing around $10 to $12 million a year. The majority of the group right now is somewhere between about $500K to $1.25 million. Okay. And you want to be able to, and you want to be able to grow the business. It doesn't have to be meaning growing the revenue. Okay. But you want to be stepping into a business of freedom and impact. Scan that QR code or go to carrot.com/epic. We're going to hop on some calls with some of those people. And for those that qualify, we're going to bring in 5 or 10 to round out the group here. Okay. So thank you guys for popping this in. Awesome. So I'm going to go through this thing called the momentum meter. Okay. Earlier in the year, same thing. I create these models because I need them. I create these models because I need them or the people that I coach need them. And I'm trying to make sense of chaos. I go like, that's the way my brain works. It's one of my unique abilities is I want to make sense of chaos. I want to make sense of something so I can easily take this and teach it to somebody so it can change their life later. And they don't have to be in front of me to make that change their life. And I was asking myself a question like, why do I keep, why do I get burnout? Like, how do we get there? How do we get to burnout? And I came to a conclusion here. I didn't make these words up. I wish I did, but burnout is not from working too much. Okay, burnout is not from working too much. It's from not doing things outside of work. It's not doing the things outside of work that we love the most. It's not doing the things that give us energy, the things that give us joy, the things that we love to do. If you remember a time in your life, whether you're working for somebody or you're an entrepreneur, where you worked a bunch, you worked your ass off, right? I think we all have those times where you're like, man, the hours flew by. It didn't seem like it was work. I worked 60 hours. I worked 70 hours those weeks or those months. But man, it was so much fun because I was focused and I was driving forward. And you know what? I was also doing these other things outside of work that fueled me. Okay. But then now let's look at the other side of it. When we're burnt out, what happens? The very first things that happen is we stop showing up to our friend group. Usually we stop doing the things that give us energy, like working out and being physical and meditating and reading, because all of a sudden we quote unquote don't have the time because we've got to work, right? So burnout is not from working too many hours. Burnout is from not doing the things outside of work that give us the energy, the things that we love. So I want you to pretend that this thing here is a pendulum. Pretend that there's a little dial here that if you pull the dial back, it will go back the other direction in equal and opposite amount. Okay, so if I pull this pendulum back to here and I let it go, it's going to go up to here. Okay, so we already talked earlier that we're aiming for transformation. Okay, we're aiming for transformation. We want to step up into and transform in one key area in our life this next year. Okay, but the problem that happens is to get up the transformation, we can't just get there all of a sudden. We can't just go from being burnt out to bam, transformation. It happens tomorrow. That's why we're stuck. Okay, when we're sitting there and we have goals or we have things that we've been struggling on for so long, we're like, why has this not worked? It's because we're trying to skip straight from burnout straight to transforming, that we're feeling guilty and we're hard on ourselves, and we just keep on staying in burnout, doing the exact things that reinforce the burnout, right? So what I've found for me is it's more like these levels we have to go through. And life looks like this. There's being and there's doing. There's rest and there's work. And I want to give credit to an amazing guy. He showed up to one of our carrot camps. He gave me this pie shape and he gave me the being, rest, and doing work. And I appreciate you big time, man, Chad, because this sparked my energy. But I filled in all these and really focused on like, oh my gosh, this is something that can change lives. Okay. And so when you pull it up, what happens is this: we stay in burnout because we're not pruning enough. We're not pruning enough. We can't grow unless we prune. If you think about plants, there's certain plants that literally will not grow unless you prune them well. Okay. So here is what happens to stay in burnout. We're only pulling back this pendulum to here. Okay. We're distracted. That's our phone. Okay. The way that we're quote unquote resting, or the way that we're quote unquote escaping, is we pull out the phone in those moments and we look at the Instagram reels. We pull out the X or the Twitter and we start to go and look at what the latest thing that Elon's saying. We pull up the phone and read the news, right? We watch YouTube videos that aren't relevant to what we're trying to tackle. We do whatever it is, right? We get distracted. What happens when we're just consistently just doing distraction stuff? We're checking email, right? There's social, there's all these things. Well, you let it go. It goes to here. Then you're just going to do busy work. What is busy work? It's email. It's all these things. It's the unimportant things that don't drive the world forward. We just continually stay in this. When you go from distracted to busy work, distracted to busy work, distracted to busy work, that is burnout. Okay, guys. So how do we get out of that? How do we get out of this phase then? How do we get out of this thing? Well, we get out of this thing by doing this. We say, okay, I'm going to make a decision. Every one of these levels requires a decision. Okay, or I'm going to make a decision to pull this up further, to say no to some things on my calendar. I'm going to decide to put this on my calendar. I'm going to decide to make physical energy important again. And for me, the next thing that you need to do to prune is decide and put it on the calendar to sweat every day. Okay, get a workout in, move the body, get some air flowing. Okay. Our bodies are made to move. The mind works when the body works. Right. And so I want to challenge you, if you're struggling here, and I've had this happen the last couple of months. I'm like, oh my gosh, when I was living with my parents and helping my dad's care, I wasn't doing the workouts I should have. I got into a spot where I'm like, even though I'm doing no work, geez, I just feel out of energy and a little bit burnt out. I had to get up and go, okay, I'm going to go on walks every day. I'm going to go do some push-ups in the living room. I'm going to do some squats, 100 squats a day. Right? I knew that to get out of that zone, I had to first get into physical energy. When I let that go, what happens? Bam, I swing over here. I get into producing. I'm producing. I'm doing the good. I'm producing revenue. I'm driving value. I'm hitting things like I'm productive. Man, I'm doing the things that are driving revenue and driving value again. That right there is not a bad spot to be in. Right? That's not a bad spot to be in. But that is going to be that's kind of the hustle and grind a little bit, right? Great. That's level 1. Level 2 now. Let's pull it up. We lock this in. Then we want to lock these in. Lock these in, guys. Lock into your calendar. Now we go to the next level. Go, bam. Now I need to make a decision again. What am I going to cut out of my calendar? What am I going to say no to so I can say yes to getting mentally clear? That's putting thinking time on your calendar. Thinking time. Get a couple hours a week that is strictly for nothing for other than for you to go do what puts you in the brain space. Go get a massage once a week. Go on a walk, a 2-hour walk once a week with no agenda other than letting your brain just think and go. That's when we start to think of the big ideas. That's when we process and make those decisions because now we're clear. We got to get mentally clear here. Okay. This is where we want to be getting clear on vision, be thinking on these things. I want to visualize. You could be doing meditation, whatever it is, however you get mentally clear. Bam, we let go of that pendulum. What happens, guys? We're producing, we're cranking, but we go up into creating our art now. Our art is what we were made to do. The art is what feels effortless. It's when you're in flow. It's when you're creating and producing the things that add so much value to the world. And it feels like it's easier for you, but it's so hard for other people and they get value from it. This right here is my art. I can't get to this spot unless I'm moving on the daily and creating and getting mental clarity. Whenever I have a hard time creating my art, it's because I'm not spending time doing that, guys. Now, how do we go up in transformation? We don't go up into transformation just because we say that we want to. That doesn't happen. That's where we get frustrated. Transformation is a result of the pendulum swinging back and forth and catching momentum. Bam, bam. We've got routine. We've made decisions. We've got our calendar supporting our mental clarity, our mental energy, our physical energy. We've got this. We're staying out of distraction zone. We put Opal on our phone. We've had people hold us accountable. We've delegated the things that drain our energy, and bam, we shoot up into transformation on the personal side first. This is where it's identity. We've became a new person now, guys. We became a new person. We're a new person. We're a person who is these things. We're a person who is mentally clear. We're a person who consistently moves their body. We're a person who consistently has energy. We're a person who consistently performs. We're a person who consistently is mentally clear. When we're that person, now the business transformation that we want to happen is possible. So if you guys are over here looking for this business transformation, like, man, when am I ever going to crack through and make $1 million a year? How am I going to make my first $100,000 a year? It doesn't happen by focusing on business transformation. It happens by getting out of this zone and making a decision to go up into zone 2 and making a decision to go up into zone 3, and then doing that consistently enough that you become a different person who is now capable of running that business. This makes sense, y'all? Pop in that comments box. So I'm not going to go through this, but there is this worksheet. If you want to go through my momentum zone audit, you'll just go through, score it, and it'll give you some things that you can do to get out of the spot that you're in and up into the next step, guys. So check that out. All right. So action. Are you backwards or stagnant momentum? Well, pick one activity you can do daily, starting with the momentum meter stuff. Is there one physical thing that you can do? What is the physical thing you can do daily to get your body moving, get your energy pumping? Preload it into your calendar now. Okay. Maybe it's not physical. Maybe it's mental. Can you preload thinking time in your calendar every single week at the end of the day on a Monday or whatever it is? Those 2 hours, you have no calls. It's non-negotiable. You go out and just think. You get a massage once a week or whatever it is. Okay. Pick that block, get it in your calendar today, and get that momentum cranking. All right, guys. So, guys, we're going to move into, I know this is going long. That's one of the reasons it's called the epic call, because I take these things a little bit too long. So we're at 90 minutes right now. Let's move into this last 30 to 45 minutes. I'll take Q&A at the end as well. And we're going to pick up those worksheets. So if you guys haven't got those worksheets, print them off or pull them up on an iPad if you use an iPad. Okay. And this is what we're going to focus on right here. Okay. We want to focus on getting those worksheets. We want to make 2025 the best year yet. Now, If you are one of my private clients and you're on this call, like Brandy Pollock, and I know there's several others who are private clients of mine on this call, you guys have the full-blown worksheets. So use your annual planning workbook that I've got that has all of the processes and all of the steps. What we're doing on this call is we're giving pieces and parts that I think will be valuable for most everybody on this call. Okay. But what we want to shoot for in 2025 is this. Okay. We want to avoid this. This is what happens for a lot of us who are high quick start, low follow throughs. We have a certain amount of energy. We get excited about a bunch of things. And we start this and we start this. We start that project. We say yes to this. We say yes to this business. We get distracted here. We say yes to that. And we start them all. We take them all a certain level of execution, but we don't finish many of them, if not any of them. But it's the same amount of energy. Notice this same amount of energy goes into doing both. But this one, we are stuck. Okay, we're stuck. We're stagnant, probably frustrated. So instead, what I want to challenge you on is for 2025, pick one core thing. What's the one core thing you're going to focus on as your primary core focus? One transformation. I don't want you to transform in 20 things. I want you to transform in one key thing this year. Maybe it's a transformation on the physical side this year. That's your one key focus, because when you transform there, it will bleed into the business side eventually. Okay, maybe it is going to be the business side that you're going to transform. Well, what part of that are you going to transform? But the difference here is it's the same amount of energy, but now rather than spread across 5, 10, 15 different things, one thing ends up going so much further. And this is where we get the results. This is where we get the happiness. This is where we get the juice in life. All right, guys, so grab those worksheets, and we're going to be moving through parts of this stack. So I'm going to give you one worksheet from my identity upgrade process. This is a 3 worksheet process. I'm going to give you one of those worksheets in this. I don't have the personal vision story worksheet here, but I'm going to give you my podcast. Okay, so there's a podcast here that I'm going to link up that I want you to go listen to if you're unclear or you want some guidance on how I think about really getting clear on that personal vision. Okay, we are going to give you part of this. We're going to give you this, and we're going to give you another 1 or 2 things that are in here. Okay, and these are going to help you get going. So the first thing that we start on is life. So we talked about that, guys. We don't start with our goals over here, because if we start writing numbers for the sake of numbers, because if we did $1 million this year, we should do 1.5 or 2 million next year because we have to grow. No, that's not the way to do it. You grow revenue to fulfill and fuel the life vision that you've got. If your life vision isn't big enough to make your revenue, to make your business grow, don't grow the business, or do the work in the momentum meter to upgrade your identity, because then an upgraded identity will then have a bigger vision. Okay. An upgraded identity will have a bigger vision. What you think possible today is going to be small potatoes to what your future identity thinks is possible as you do that work. Okay. So we start on the life side of things. Let's add some clarity there. Okay. So the first thing I want you guys to do, we're going to do bits and pieces of it on this call. We're not going to have time to do the whole thing. And honestly, you don't want to hear me talking in your ear the whole time while you're doing this work. So you're going to want to carve out an hour, 2 hours, 3 hours, half a day, whatever, to go through these things in quiet this weekend. Okay. So you're going to be using these 6 F's. And the first thing that I want you to do is I want you just to reflect and write down in each one of these buckets how the year went. How did 2024 go? Okay. And you could do bullet points. For me, what I ended up doing for 2024, I ended up having 3 to 4 bullet points on things that were great and some things that weren't as good in those areas. But just write. Give yourself permission to celebrate your wins. Okay. Give yourself permission to point out an area that you want to grow. All right. So on the faith side of things, how were you this year? What does faith look like to you? Okay. What about family? How were those relationships? And some of these might be really hard, right? Because there might be some past trauma in there that either you haven't dealt with or your loved ones haven't dealt with, and it's making it hard. But these are the areas of life that I feel encompass most of those important things. And if we're way off here, it's going to impact things down here, right? So these are the moments we've got to do the hard things. We've got to have the hard conversations before we can't have them anymore. Okay, so what about family? What about fitness and health? I'll do fitness and health on this one. What about friends? What about finances? This is where I would put business stuff in here. Okay. What about fun? Like just enjoyment, like having fun in life again. Write down things you want to reflect on from 2024. We always start in our planning with reflection first. Reflection first. Okay. We're going to reflect. Okay. We're going to audit. Okay. And then we're going to diagnose with a plan. We reflect, we audit, we diagnose with a plan. Okay, we reflect, we audit, we diagnose with a plan. All right, guys. So the next thing we're going to do is audit. With each one of these 6 buckets, I want you to give yourself a score of 1 to 5. 5 being couldn't get any better, 1 being couldn't get any worse. All right, and you can go ahead and do this right now. This might take you a few minutes. Finish the ones later that you didn't finish. You know, for me, the faith side of it was 4 in previous years. There were years where faith side of it was 2, and it was just struggling. Family was up there at a 4 as well. I have a hard time putting 5s for anything, just because I'm like, there's got to be a way to improve it, right? So 4 for me is pretty damn good. All right, fitness for me, man. I just wasn't the first half of the year. First half of the year I was nailing it. Back half of the year I slid off, and I had excuses that I let get in the way. I'd say that's a 3. I'm kind of in the middle. I want to get it back for 2025 and make this amazing. I've already got things locked in. Friends is a 3 to 4. I was spending a lot of time with family, of course, but man, I had some great experiences with friends this year. I was more intentional. Our Monday, Wednesday, Friday workouts in my gym, that friend group is solid now. We've been doing it for a year to year and a half. We're doing Thursday saunas and cold plunges. We're doing other things. Just a blast. Okay, finances. I would say it was just kind of a mediocre year this year. I heavily indexed on these things. I'm glad that I did. And here, there's some areas I want to improve. There's some areas I didn't do good. There's some areas I didn't lead well. There's some areas that I didn't do the right things to position my companies in the right spots. There's some things I didn't delegate soon enough. There's some things that I just got to get done. I think it's kind of in the middle, and we were in default mode too much and too many things because I indexed in other areas. Fun, I'll put 3 there. I had a lot of fun this year, but I wouldn't say it's like, oh my gosh, everything was cranking fun. So there's some opportunity there. Okay. And then what I want you to do next is now think about the reflection through the score. I want you to write down, 1, 2, 3 things, and you could put steps here on how you're going to improve that thing if you want to. You don't have to improve it. You could say, nope, I'm good. Not going to focus on that at all. I'm straight up default moding it this year. Okay. But for each one of these, for me, I did put some things down because I want to have all of them improve at least a little bit. But the way that I do it, guys, but I want you to do it the way that makes sense for you. Okay. These boxes and buckets are just for you to use as guides. They're not to create restriction on you. Okay. What I do here is I write out kind of a theme at the top for that side of it. Okay. So for the faith side of it, I really want to step into consistent leadership and faith in 2025. What does that mean? Consistent leadership and faith for my family, consistent leadership and faith at church, consistent leadership and faith for those around me. I feel like I was more passive in my faith, except for the last 120 days of the year. Reading often, praying every day, going to church every Sunday that we're in town, doing Bible studies. But I just felt like, I don't know, it didn't feel like I was leading well. I felt like I was waiting for others to lead me. So I put that theme there, and I went, well, what are the 1 or 2 or 3 steps and how I'm going to do that? Okay, so I put my steps. Okay, cool. Awesome. What am I going to do first? Well, first, I'm going to sign up for the Theological Foundations class at church. Next, what I'm going to do is get our Wednesday morning Bible study going again that we did for 5 years, and it fell off this summer. 6:30 a.m. at my office. Get that going again. Okay, and then what's the third step? It's X. Okay, and this is going to be read every day. That was part of my reading, is reading Proverbs every day for the next 90 days. So that's what I'm going to be doing there. Okay, but if you get the gist of it, what I usually do is I'll circle the 1 or the 2 that have the lowest score that I want to focus on the most, and I'm just doing this for example here. Okay, 1, 2, if those were my 2, and then I'm going to really make sure that I have detailed plans for those. Okay, what's the theme or the overall outcome, right? And then what are 1, 2, 3 steps to make that happen? That makes sense, y'all? So what this does is this starts priming the pump of getting clear on what you want. Now, if you're not really sure and your challenge is actually the design, your challenge is actually that you're not clear on what you want in life, go listen to this podcast. Just look it up. It's my podcast called The Entrepreneur Freedom Formula. And it's the episode from May called Crafting Your Life Vision Story, Life by Design. And I just talk through how I think about making that life vision story. And a life vision story for me is literally a written document in a notebook that I've been carrying for a decade. Okay, that's how it works for me. Some people like a vision board, but I think the problem with a vision board is cool for helping you visualize the things you want and the experiences you want, but it doesn't create a narrative. And what I want you to have is a narrative. I want you to have a movie in your mind. I want you to literally be able to close your eyes and see your life unfolding in your ideal average day. Your ideal average day. I want you to see that movie of your life. When we just have pictures that we cut out from magazines up on a wall, that's cool, that's inspiring, but that isn't something that we can ingrain ourselves in the story. It doesn't as easily help us to make decision, right? So write that vision story from the second you wake up till the second you go to bed. If you wave the magic wand, and your life would be exactly the way that you want it to be. You're stepping in your unique abilities. You're doing things that give you energy more often than not. You're with the people that you love. You're doing the things that you love. You're in the house, the property. You're making the impact every single day. What does that day look like? What you're going to find, y'all, is that day is actually explaining your identity. It explains the identity that you want to and need to step into in order to live that life. If you are working out and consistent and eating good, healthy foods, that is the identity that that person has in order to live that life. And that's the identity you get to step into this next year. You just have to figure out, how do I do it? What are those steps? Who do I need to surround myself with who is already there to help me get there? A big part of identity is your friend group. It's the people that you're around. We have to take the average of the 5 people that we spend the most time with. And if you're questioning, why is it that I can't get out of this, you need to, and you're wanting to get in good shape. How good a shape are the 5 people you're spending the most time with, y'all? Right? How good a shape are the 5 people that you're spending the most time with? If they're not in good shape, then that's your challenge. You need to upgrade the people that you're around most of the time. Okay. So now once we're clear on that reflection, we're clear on some of the areas we want to grow in life, and we have some level of clarity around that vision story, now we can start to get some clarity around our business. And so I'm not going to go through this worksheet for you. This is one of the worksheets that we have in the overall workbook that I have for my 12K to 80K a year clients. And but this one is a really cool one, I think is useful and simple for everybody. Okay, same thing. I want you to reflect. I want you to audit, okay, the business, and then we're going to decide a plan in some steps forward. So reflect. I want you to write down, what are some of your wins, right? What are some of the things you're proud of? What are some of the things that didn't work well right here? Like, hey, this didn't work well. Okay. Braden, if you can make a note here, I think that needs to be changed from label to something else. But what worked and what didn't work? Like, what are the things that worked? These worked and these didn't work. I want us to think about why things didn't work, and then take a QR code shot of that. That's going to take you to a free tool that EOS puts out. It's the Entrepreneur Operating System, and I really like their free business audit. Okay, and out of that business audit, then I want you to bring the 1, 2, 3 opportunities that business audit says you need to work on. It might be vision. It might be, man, you're just really weak on vision. You need to get more clear on your business vision, or it might be processes. Okay. And so those are the opportunities. And then this is just kind of a spot to give you some room to brainstorm. You might have some ideas now. You might go, okay, well, for vision, a project, I'm going to get a project going in 2025 to finally publish a written vision by February 1st. Okay. Then over here, let's say it's improve your processes. You might say, man, what process is probably struggling the most? Is probably my marketing or my acquisitions or whatever. Okay. I'm going to dial in and create process for sales calls and process for this. Okay, cool. So just brainstorm, put those on paper. This is not locking in your plan. It's just saying, hey, these are some things that I might do. Okay, this is the audit sheet. Okay. What I'm going to do next now, guys, is we're going to go up at a really, really high level. Okay. I want you to dream a little bit too. I want you to say, okay, if I'm clear on where I want to go in my life, and there's some steps, guys, that I teach my private clients on how to identify your security, comfort, luxury lifestyle, and the cost that each one of those levels is going to cost. Because then we really know exactly how much each one of those levels of lifestyle are going to cost us and how much money we need to be pulling out of our business. That then shades what our business needs to do. Okay. And then I teach people how to create the moats, how to create a moat of protection around the income, around those different lifestyles. So we're not outspending. And so we don't go back and retreat in the lifestyle later. But as long as you have some sort of clarity on how much money the life that you want to live, that vision story that you want to live is going to cost. Okay, then we start right here. And I usually start over here and I'm going to go, cool. What were my 2024 numbers? I'm going to go 2024 up here. Okay. Well, let's say I did $1 million this year of gross and I did $500,000 in net. And it took me whatever it is, right? It took me 30 deals to do it. 30 deals. Okay. Awesome. So just write that down for 2024. We're going to start over here at year 3. Okay. I want you to ask that question. Like, close your eyes and ask the question, what you're looking back in 3 years. So this is 2025, 2026, 2027. At the end of 2027, if you were closing your eyes and you're like, man, this year was amazing. My business is exactly where I want it to be. We're hitting on all cylinders. We're moving, we're shaking, we're growing. Things are happening. This is killer. What does that business look like? What does that life look like? How much income needs to be flowing to you to live that life? And what does the revenue in that business need to look like, or that you want it to look like? And write that down. Okay, let's say that revenue, I'm just making this up, guys, is $3 million. Okay, you go, okay, great. Well, what's the profit that business is cranking out? Well, you know what? It's got to be cranking out at least $1 million, and it's going to be a 33% profit margin. Okay, great. Well, how many deals am I going to use to get that done? If you're a real estate investor, if you're in another business, scratch out deals and put sales or customers or orders or whatever it is. Okay. Well, shoot, my average profit per deal right now is 20,000, but I think I can get it up to 30,000 by then. Divide these numbers out and it's blah. It's, whatever that is. It's 100 deals, or I'm making something up. It's however many it is. Okay. And then what I want you to do is, now we're going to skip from there straight down to here before we fill the rest of it out. Now we're going to go from year 3 to year 1. Okay, great. If we're going to be at $3 million then, and we're at $1 million now, where must next year be? You know what? I think I can grow 30 or 40% this year. I think we can do 1.4 million. Okay, awesome. So what profit margin there? Well, we're at a 50% profit margin. It might shrink down a little bit to grow. So let's say it's 40%. So whatever that is, 900,000. I'm making stuff up. I don't know what it is. Okay. Let's say it's 700K. That's not real math. And so same thing. Well, what was my average profit per deal this year? Do I want to keep it the same? Do I want to grow it? Awesome. How many deals do I want to do this year to nail that? Great. Now we're going to fill out year 2. Okay. So I do year 3, year 1, year 2. That's the order that it goes. All right, y'all. Now we go, okay, great. We've got this delta. We've got 3 million to 1 million, and we get to make a decision. How do we get there? What does that look like? And so we might go, well, shoot, we're going to go to 2 million. And then all of a sudden something's going to unlock something strategic. We went into a new market, something's working. And all of a sudden we bopped up to 3, or we might go, no, it's going to be kind of more even. It's going to be, 2.2 million and then up to 3. Yeah, I think that works. Same thing, fill out the numbers, make some assumptions. But guys, this is now where it gets critical, because now this is where strategy comes in. This is where we have to ask ourselves a question. And I've talked with many of my private clients, and they put these numbers down. I go, great, awesome. How are you going to get there? What are you going to change in 2025 in order to add $400,000 more revenue on top of what you're already doing? What are you going to change? And this is where we have to strategically make decisions. Well, I'm going to add a new marketing channel. I'm going to add Google PPC with Carrot. Right? I'm going to add a new marketing channel or whatever it is. Okay. Well, what needs to be improved? Well, if I'm going to get to 1.4, I think I need to hire an EA to help with some stuff. So I need to improve my processes. I'm going to hand off my email to an EA. And I'm going to hand off my calendar to an EA, and I'm going to hand off my weekly prioritization. And that person's going to work with me on it. Okay, great. What else do I need to get done in that year? Well, the market's changing a little bit. I think I need to add this other strategy. Not only am I going to wholesale and flip, but I'm also going to go hybrid, and I'm going to become an agent as well, or whatever it is. Okay. So look at that now and say, okay, if I did these things, does it seem like that's going to help me confidently get to that number? Yeah, I think so. Great. Now we're going to do the same thing in year 2, same thing in year 3, but you're probably not going to fill all these out. Okay. You might go, well, I know to get up to 3 million, we're going to probably have to go into a new market. So we're probably going to go into a new market over here, a new market in 2022 or in the next year. And we're probably also going to need to improve our acquisitions team. And I probably need to hire somebody there because I can't do it all. But I don't know what I need to do on the next one there. And over here in year 3, with that, we're probably really I'm probably for sure going to have to hire like an operator or whatever this is, right? But I don't really know what else I need to do. Leave those as blank for now. Okay, leave them blank. We're not trying to fill in everything because we don't know for sure what it's going to look like in 3 years. But you should have some sort of clarity what the most important moves or strategies are going to be for next year. Okay, guys. And here's the thing, guys. You can do this. You can use this same thing for fitness. You can use the same thing for faith. You're just going to cross out these and put something different. Put the metrics that are the most important metrics for you. Okay, this could be weight. This could be whatever. And you can just chart out that future vision and write in the projects or the changes you're going to make on the way there. Okay. Now what we're going to do is we're going to take this view that we just did at the 3 years. That's print that out, put it on the wall. That's going to guide you. That's where we're going. Here's the key moves we're going to take to get there. That's a 1-page 3-year plan. Okay. Inside of my private coaching community, we have another page, just kind of a deeper brainstorming page for the 3-year, but this is the same one that they use for that 1-pager. All right. So right here, guys, now we're going to go into the 1 year. Now we're going to say, great. Now what do we do for 2025? Because what a lot of people do is a lot of people skip the 3 year. We skip the vision completely. And then we hope that we're going to plan the right year for this year ahead. We can't skip the vision. We're going to go straight into planning the 3 year. And now the 3 year flow, the 1 year flows down from the 3 year. We're going to take this year right here, 2025, and it flows into this page here. Okay. It flows into this page here. And you can see it's a similar look and feel. Now we're going to do the exact same thing that we just did, but we're going to do it for every quarter throughout the year. Okay, so we're going to take this and go, okay. You can do it a couple different ways. You can write in here, how much money do I want to bring in that quarter? Or you can write it as a cumulative. So if you want to make, like we said, 1.4 million, you could write 1.4 million here. And I don't care what way you do it, just whatever works for you. You could write that there. And then you could say, okay, well, what does each quarter need to look like to get to 1.4? Okay. You could do it that way. And so maybe if we were to divide it out, let's say it's whatever. Let's say the first quarter, we think we can confidently do 300K and we're going to do it at X percent profit, profit percentage, whatever that's going to be, and write in the actual number. And here's how many deals it's going to be. It's going to be 20 deals. Okay. Awesome. Do these numbers first before the projects. And now we go, okay, the next quarter, I think we're going to do 325. Next quarter, whatever it is. Okay. You can do it cumulative, or you can literally just write in the numbers. Okay. So you can add them up, 325 and 522 and and they can all add up to 1.4. I don't care what you do. Just use it for whatever way makes sense for you. Okay. But what I do want you to do is you do need to be clear on what profit margin you want to have be a goal so you can hit your profits, and how many deals or transactions or orders or whatever kind of business you're in do you need to do to get there. What we're going to do next year is we go, okay, we're going to start now to plan out our projects. And I want you to do at most 1 new thing per quarter and 2 improvements, meaning you can't go into 2 new markets in a quarter. Okay, you should probably go into 1 new market in a year. But maybe it's 1 new marketing channel this quarter. And then I'm going to improve these processes and hire this new person to replace this other one. But I'm going to go into this new marketing channel. I'm going to replace this other team member, and I'm going to improve this process. Okay, you guys get the idea, right? Okay, so start to list those projects out. Now you're probably going to have, you should definitely have all of your key 3 projects listed out for Q1. You're likely going to have 2 to 3 of them listed out here, but you may not have all of your projects listed out there. And I'd actually encourage you not to. I'd encourage you not to have all of those projects listed out for Q3 and Q4, but you might know that you need to do a couple. Okay. You might go, okay, well, I know in the back half of the year, I know I'm going to be entering into that new market. I'm not going to do it in the first half of the year because I need to really nail marketing here, and I need to nail systems before I go into the new market. But I am going to enter into the new market over here. So I'm going to go into Orlando here. Over here, I'm going to focus on my marketing. Over here, my systems. Okay, now I'm going to go into Orlando and take that marketing, take those systems into that new market so I can succeed. And then I'm going to hire an operator because I'm going to start to delegate those things off. You guys get the idea? Let me know if this makes sense, y'all. And don't put pressure on yourself. Like I said, definitely get very clear in Q1. Okay, try to get clear in Q2. And then think about strategically, how do you want to sequence the year? How do you want to sequence the most important things so that the number at the end of the year is one that's realistic. It's one that you can actually accomplish. All righty. So guys, that locks in your 1 year, 1-page plan. So you're going to have a couple things. Okay. Those two are audits. Those are audits. You're going to have your 3-year vision, print it out, put it on the wall. You're going to have your 1-year macro planner, print it out, put it on the wall, change it every quarter, write on it, whatever you're going to do. Okay. And then finally, what I want you to have to finish this all off, and we'll bring this home, is I want you to have what I call your 5 non-negotiables. Okay. Not Jim Rohn, John Maxwell. John Maxwell, one of my favorite authors, he has a concept he calls the rule of 5. And the rule of 5 is something like this. Imagine there's a tree in your backyard. Okay. Imagine there's a tree in your backyard. And that tree could be whatever thickness, like this dude's here. That tree, you have an aim of chopping that tree down. Okay. What you need to do is you need to pick a tool. In this case, it's an axe. And he said, rather than going out there and just having no plan, and I'm just going to swing until my arms are tired, then I'm going to put it down. Then hopefully maybe I'll pick it up again in a week or a month or whatever when I'm ready to do it again. He said, rather than doing that, all you need to do is the rule of 5. If you went out there and swung that axe 5 times a day and hit 5 solid hits a day and put the axe down and went on with your day and did other things, guys, let me know in the comments box, would you eventually chop that tree down? Would you eventually chop the tree down if you went out there and every single day until the tree was down, you swung and had 5 solid axe hits? Would you eventually hit it? Would you eventually knock it down? Of course, depending on how thick the tree is, that would make the length of time to accomplish that longer, right? But would you eventually get the tree down? 100% you would. There's no chance you're not going to get that tree down, right? Because you are taking 5 swings every single day until you got it done. What we do oftentimes, though, is we get motivated on something for a week or two or a month or two or a quarter or two. We pick up the axe, we swing. We don't really have these non-negotiables to do something every day. We're swinging until we get tired or frustrated or fed up or bored or whatever, and we move on to the next thing. We put the axe down. That tree is halfway hit through, and we go pick a different tree now. Okay. So what the key is with this analogy is, number one, it tells us we got to pick the tree. What is the tree we're trying to chop down? What is the tree we're trying to knock over? What is the tree? That tree could be that fitness goal you've got. That tree could be that business revenue goal you've got. It could be making that marketing channel work better. It could be making your website work better. It could be making, whatever. It could be the relationship goal that you've got. It could be the faith goal that you've got. You're not going to automatically, hit your faith goal in day one by opening up the book. But you know what? If every single day you opened up that book and read scripture as one of your 5 non-negotiables, as one of your rule of 5, you will grow closer to God. If you made 5 phone calls a day to prospects or customers, you will grow revenue. Okay. If one of your 5 things every day was to sweat every day and read every day, you will become more wise. You will become more healthy. Okay. It just happens. But we pressure ourselves into thinking that we've got to have it all at once and all in one day. So I grabbed this worksheet out of my identity integrator worksheet that my private clients get. And this is worksheet number 3 in my identity upgrade process. Okay. The first couple worksheets dive into an identity audit, and then it dives into an identity vision. So casting vision for certain people that you want to be like. And we grab these traits out of the people. Then we kind of create a story and a vision around those traits. And then we bring them here. So I'm going to kind of fast forward it with you here. Okay. I want you to picture, who is it that you want to become? Picture that ideal average day once again, and pull back and ask yourself, what must be true in my life in order to live that future life? Okay. For me, one of my things in my ideal average day, that vision story, is I read every day. Okay. Another thing is that I'm a multiple best-selling author in that ideal average day, that I'm producing and creating valuable content. Another thing is that I have high vitality. I have high energy. Others look at me and they want to be with me from that physical perspective of things. I drive forward. I lead in that way. I'm high energy, high energetic. I look good. I feel good. Okay. So if we ask the question, well, what are some of those things that I must do in order to live that life? For me, that's where it's like, man, I've got to sweat every day. Okay. It's got to be an everyday sweat. I've got to get the pump on. And then I want to write in this so that I can statement. So why is it that I want to sweat every day? So that I can, always be energetic and healthy for those around me. Okay. What's another one? Well, shoot, read every day. These are just mine. Don't make mine yours. Okay. Read every day. And that's 10 pages. I didn't do great on that parts of this last year. I let myself slip away into drifting into distraction. I just frankly did. I'll just be honest with you guys. I'm human just like the rest of us here. So that's what I'm getting back on that train. I didn't do good there. Okay. I didn't do good there. I did for the first half of the year, but some things, I let some things fall off. So why is it? So that I can consistently, adopt new mindsets and adopt new blah, blah, blah. So I can be a better leader for others around me. Okay. So I want you to think about your life. I want you to think about your goals. I want you to think about those goals that you wrote up here in your business and what you're wanting to do. And if one of those things that you want to do is do more deals as a real estate investor or agent, ask yourself, well, wouldn't it be valuable if you had an activity that was a non-negotiable rule of 5 every single day, that you had to pick up the phone and call 5 people every day, or that you had to make 5 offers on properties every day, or that you had to, whatever that activity is every day. Okay. Write one of those 5 offers daily. Bam, 5 offers a day. Awesome. Or maybe you are in the software business, or you're just getting going in the software business. You want to grow that company. Maybe I'm going to call 5 prospects a day. I'm going to have 5 demos a day, 5 demos a day. So then you structure the momentum of your work week, your work day around those things. So lock those in, guys. Okay. Next thing I want you to write down, and this comes from worksheet number 2 that you guys aren't having, but I'm going to give you a glimpse of it, of the identity upgrade process, the 3 key people. Who are the 3 key people that you want to surround yourself with in this year ahead that are going to help you adopt more of those habits, more of those disciplines, get you closer to being that person you want to be? Who are those 3 key? Now, you don't have to know them. Okay. You might just read every single book and listen to every single podcast that they have. Okay. But there are people that you look up to that have the traits that you want to adopt, that are going to elevate you and bring you up into that new identity that allows you to accomplish those things you want to accomplish in 2025. Okay. For me, last year I had one that was Craig Groeschel, an amazing leader and pastor. And I listened to every podcast I could. I read 3 of his books last year. I got around him. I didn't meet him though. Okay. So who are your key 3? And I want you to get as close as possible to those key 3 people in 2025, as close as possible. Join their mastermind, hire them as a coach, read all their books, listen to their podcasts, go to their events if you have to, ask them to mentor you, whatever you got to do, get closer to them consistently. Okay. And then we're going to finish this whole shebang off. I'm not going to go through identity audit, drip matrix. I'll go through that last one because we're running out of time here, guys. But identity statement, write it as an I am statement. Okay. Think about that ideal average day. Think about your key 3 people. Think about your non-negotiables. And I want you to write down a statement, a sentence that is going to carry you through the year. Once again, mine from this last year was, I am a son of God. I'm a man of God who one second here. I'm a man of God who fearlessly, I already wrote my one for this next year, and I already got that one ingrained in my brain. So my one from last year, I'm a son of God with the spirit of power, love, and self-control. I confidently use the gifts God's given me to make the world a better place every day. That was my 2024 note one. Okay. My 2025 one, I don't tell people my one for the year until towards the end of the year. So write that down, post that as a screen thing for the back of your phone, post it in your office, whatever you need to do. Read that 2 to 3 times a day. Read that 2 to 3 times a day. Ingrain that within you. Become that identity. That's what we're aiming here for. These actions, these people, this statement guides you to being the person that's capable of accomplishing the goals that you've laid out. Okay. Here's the tool, guys. Once again, not going to go through it. I suggest you do this every quarter. Do this every single quarter. I've got a podcast online that walks you through, in a video that walks you through how to do the energy audit in my YouTube channel. Drip Matrix. I've got a video on my YouTube channel that walks you through how to do this. You do the Drip Matrix after the energy audit every quarter, determine what you need to delegate. Okay. And then this right here is something that I just started doing a version of this. I call it my 90-day ROE, my 90-day return on experience. Okay. What does that mean? I want to focus on not just return on investment. I want to focus on return on experience. Okay. Am I putting in the time and work and getting it out in experiences, not just money stacking in the bank account? So every year I'm going to pick a Masogi. A Masogi is a big challenge. Same thing, guys. Check out my YouTube channel. Braden, if you could link up a link to my YouTube channel, I've got a video on Masogi in there. I think I do. If not, we'll do one. But I've got a video to all this stuff. Okay. So Masogi is one big year defining challenge. It's a 50-50 coin flip, whether you're going to accomplish or not. It should scare you because it should require you to step in a new identity. Mine was swimming across the river and back this last year. And I'm working on, I haven't picked mine yet. I've got a few candidates, but I'm going to be in Vegas and LA next week. Going to do a full overnight retreat for myself to nail the rest of this. Then I want you to do a monthly challenge every month during the first quarter. Okay. And do that every quarter. What's a monthly challenge? It's something hard, something that is maybe out of the norm. It could be a hike that you haven't done. It could be a bike ride. It could be, something physical. It could be something mental. Hey, I'm going to meditate for 2 hours straight in this day, whatever it's going to be. Pick a challenge that forces you out of your comfort zone a little bit once every month. Okay. Mini adventures. I got this from a guy named Jesse Itzler. Jesse Itzler has a friend named Kevin, and he has a thing called Kevin's Rule. Okay. Kevin's Rule. So Kevin's Rule is that every 60 days, they go doing a mini adventure that they wouldn't normally do. Okay. So every 60 days, so we're going to do 1 or 2 of these a quarter. One of my Kevin's rules was taking my daughter to Chicago. That was a Kevin's rule. Another one, that I did this last year was a race. That was a Kevin's rule. Another one was a hike up in a waterfall. Kevin's rule. So just a mini adventure. Doesn't have to be anything big. Okay. And then these are going to be your 5 non-negotiables here. All right, guys. So this kind of lays out some experiences that you can do it. And then lock that into your calendar. I use what I call my pre-stacked year process. This is inspired from my coach years ago, and he was inspired from another person, and it worked so well for me. I use it with my private coaching clients. But we pre-stack the year. We pre-stack the year with the experiences and the events and the holidays and things like that. So come up with your own version of this, y'all. But however you do it, get these things in your calendar within the next week, within the next 7 days, get them in your calendar. All righty, guys. That was a lot. This is not 90 minutes. We made it over the 2 hours. We're just over. But let me dive in. And guys, if you have any questions, pop in questions. Okay, pop in questions. So we went through my 24 year in review, my 3 biggest lessons. Walked you through some of those worksheets and some of those mindsets that'll hopefully help you become a better leader this next year. Hopefully help you step into those goals, help you step into that life that you want to live this next year. Okay. And like I said, guys, I do have a program called Epic. It's something I started. It's a labor of love. It's not this big business that I operate. I do it because it gives me energy. It was one of my things a couple of years ago where I'm like, I just like doing this stuff. And I want to force myself to be able to have to think about these things, to create these models, because I want to use the models, but I was so busy, I wouldn't actually force myself to get into the mind space to create them. And I wanted to be able to, I've got books in my brain, guys. I wasn't able to even get these things out and work with people and prove them out, let alone write a book. And so this is part of my journey of going and writing my first and my next books after that one. Part of this too is I want to be a better leader for my leaders. I have an amazing COO, an amazing leadership team, and I've got a vision for where I want to go. And it requires me to be a better leader of leaders. One of the best ways I can do that is by coaching other leaders. So is this a distraction from the core business of carrot.com? Yeah, probably a little bit of one. But is this a core distraction from my life vision? No, 100% it's taking me towards my life vision. And now I'm going to be parlaying this into, making sure that it flows into my other business as well. All right, guys. So if anyone's interested in grabbing one of those 5 to 10 spots for the Epic group coaching program, it is reserved for people in real estate. So real estate investors, primarily, it's mostly flippers, wholesalers, and hybrid agents. In there are people who are primarily agents, but also investors. And there's a couple construction guys. And if you're a baller home service person, this program works amazingly well for you as well. We do ask for a year commitment up front. We can't make massive change in a week or a month or a quarter, but you will see massive change. We've seen people that hit their goals and crush their goals. Wyatt up in Montana, he came into the program about $350,000 a year in revenue about 18 months ago. He's going to do $1.25 million a year in revenue. He was scared to delegate. He was scared to build a team. He didn't know how. He had limiting beliefs around it. He has a small team now. He's cranking 50% plus profit margins on this. His life is transformed by going through and upping his identity, casting a clearer vision, getting clearer and better on strategy, building a more tight, better operating business with a better cadence and processes, by delegating the right things, by having the right cadence himself, and then by stepping in and upgrading that identity again. All right, guys. So carrot.com/epic. And/or grab that QR code, hop on a call with Brent or Pete on my team, and let's change your life, guys. That investment, my aim is to have people 10x the investment over that first year, and people who actually step in and engage and show up on the calls and do the work and hop on the quarterly one-on-ones with me, your life's going to change. But I am going to step into it full force. I need you to do the same. This program's not for everybody. You got to be doing at least 250K bare minimum to qualify. If you're not there yet, guys, amazing. Tap into our resources at carrot.com, all of the free resources, my podcast, to help you get to that first revenue level and get to the second one. But this is where Epic takes over, and this is where Carrot takes over. So we're going to help you guys grow through all these identity phases, increase your purpose, strengthen your vision, and execute the right things in your business. All right, guys, we want to help you transform and design that business and design that life. A lot of people don't want to grow their business. Some of the people that come into the program are like, man, I love my business the size that it is. I just want to buy back half of my time and have a vision that excites me for the future. Awesome. Let's do that. Okay. And then maybe your vision gets bigger, which requires you to grow a bigger business later, but let's figure it out. Okay, guys, I want you guys in 2025 to stay above the line. Let's stay above the line. And I want you to, right now, before we leave, I want you to make a commitment. I want you to post in the comments box. Okay, number one, I want you to post in the comments box, I'm going to level up above the line, or if you are above the line, I'm going to level up the transformation. Okay, I'm going to level up above the line, or I'm going to level up the transformation. Let me know which one. Number two is this, guys, is I want you to focus on designing and getting clear on what you want. Okay. Number three, if you are stuck in default mode, I want you to list out all the options, all the choices that you could do to get to that life. And I want you to decide, I want you to make a decision within the next week, to make a decision to say no to everything else other than the one or two things that's going to get you to that design. And then put everything out to maybe later, maybe 2026, you do this other thing. But today, now, 2025, you do what you need to do to get above the line. All right, guys. So, guys, pop it over there, hit the QR code, join me, carrot.com/epic. I'm not going to hard sell you there at all, because I want to make sure that you're as fired up about getting into a coaching program and a mastermind as we are about delivering it. Check it out. This is part mastermind, part coaching with me, and part amazing group. We're not going to play the video here, Braden. We'll go straight to, if there is Q&A, we'll go straight to here. All right. Guys, one thing that I want to give an announcement for, so you guys can see on the actual live view page, if you're in the real estate space, I want you guys to see our new CRM. Okay, right there below this live view page. And Braden, if you can link up the CRM, carrot.com/CRM. We launched a CRM in 2024. Okay. We saw the need to be able to take our existing platform that we acquired, InvestorFuse, bring it into the Carrot ecosystem. And there's a lot of things we have planned to do for it in 2025. Simplify the user interface, add some more features, simplify some of the dashboards. But guys, this CRM is the most powerful CRM in the market, I feel. And the free version of it is going to absolutely blow your mind. It's the perfect system for a new investor getting started, because you can really start your business and start to grow it for free. You don't have to pay hundreds of dollars to anybody for a CRM when you come into the Carrot CRM. And then number two, our platform scales up to serve the biggest investors in the country who have teams. There's no other CRM in the entire industry that does what we're doing and what we're setting out to do. Okay, we're not trying to be an all-in-one. There's a lot of all-in-one platforms. You can go find a million all-in-one platforms that have a CRM and driving for dollars and all this data stacking and list stuff and this and that. And like, awesome. Let them do that stuff. They even have websites. They're never going to perform as good as a best-in-class tool. And what we focus on here at Carrot is to build our philosophy is to build best-in-class tools that integrate well with the other things that you're already using. We're not going to be the all-in-one. We're not going to add 3,000 mediocre features to make everyone feel good that they think that they're saving some money. But how much money are you losing by using mediocre features at the expense of what you could be getting by using best in class automation, best in class follow-up, best in class features for teams, best in class for those things. Okay, we focus deeply on being the best in class CRM, deeply on being the best in class online marketing website tools and making them seamlessly work together and with other tools. Check it out, guys, carrot.com/CRM. All right, y'all. Follow me on Instagram. Go to my new podcast over here, Entrepreneur Freedom Formula. You can find it in YouTube, everything. Guys, let's grow those dreams together. All right, let's do some questions. I'm going to go through here, and I've only got about 8 minutes, so we can take a few questions. I've got to head across to one of our investment properties down the way to meet my wife. We're meeting a new tenant who has a vision with what they're wanting to do with the building. I got to meet at 1 o'clock. So guys, let's do this. In parting, pop in. I'm going to look at questions, but pop in. What was your one single biggest takeaway from today's call that you're going to take and move and do something with? What's your one biggest takeaway from this call that you're going to take and move and do something with? What is the one biggest takeaway that you're going to take from this call and do something with? Pop in the comments box right now. We've got a lot of leveling up, which is amazing. Staying above the line. I like it. The key thing, guys, is what decision are you going to make? What are you going to change? And for me in 2012, what changed for me between my business that did okay, but I wasn't loving and didn't feel like I had a future, to what became Carrot, 5-time Inc. 5,000, fastest growing company, worth well into the tens of millions. The thing that changed is, number one, I joined a mastermind. Okay. I literally joined my first ever mastermind. I stroked a $19,000 check, and I didn't have $19,000 to just throw out there to oblivion to join my first mastermind, because I knew I needed to get close to a specific guy. I had a guy, he was on my key 3. I'm going to get close to him. I stroked a $19,000 check. Okay. Epic is not $19,000. It's lower than that, guys. You'd be surprised. Okay. Number 2 is, I've always been in a mastermind ever since then. And I've always had a coach. Mastermind and a coach. That is what helps you transform, because just like I did today in this 2 hours, y'all, you didn't even pay for this. Just like I did in this 2 hours, imagine if you have the right coach, the right mastermind around you, speaking into you every week, every month, to help you see the things you're not seeing, to help you step in to make the decisions you're not making, to help hold you accountable, to help give you new ideas and open you up to new things. You would never believe the power of the right mastermind and the right coach to changing your life. So guys, check it out. So the PDF with the calendar, Andres, dude, DM me. You and I are buddies, man. We've known each other for ages, so I'll get you that. But we didn't include it in this one for a couple reasons, because it does kind of, there's a training that kind of goes with it a little bit, and I didn't want to throw too much at people today. I think there's a risk of me throwing too much. I might have done that, but I don't want to also throw too many worksheets at people. So DM me, buddy. I'll get it to you. Awesome. Opal. Yeah, Opal's great. Opal's amazing, and it's going to surprise you potentially in how much time you're spending doing stuff. Jim, a plan across the key areas of life, just business. Dude, we have to, because we have to ask the question, what are we hiring our business to do for us, right? You are hiring your business to do a job, and that job is to not make you slave away. That job is to not wear out your energy. That job is to not run you down. That job is to help you live the life you want to live. And if you're not living the life you want to live, why do you have that business? So change it. Make some decisions, right, dude? So we plan the key areas of life first, then we hire the business to do that. And we change the business if it's not doing that. Okay. Sweat every day. Dude, Chris, we need to find a way to connect this year, man. I was talking to Carly, and she said that Alex, because we've been posting stuff about the sheep, she said that Alex is like, hey, we're going to come out when they have babies. So the sheep are supposed to have babies at the end of January. I don't know. You should come out. It's not very good weather in January, though. So, because you're not going to get snow where we are. You can get a ton of snow up in the mountains. It's just going to be rainy and muddy and stuff like that. But dude, let's find a way to get together. Awesome, guys. Well, beautiful. Let me see. Braden, let me know if there's any questions I'm missing on here. I know there were probably some earlier on. Let me scroll up. But guys, I appreciate y'all. I love y'all. This is stuff I love to do. It's fun. It's something that we put work and energy into. It's something that deep in my heart with my company, Carrot. Yes, I want to help people get leads and close more deals. But at the end of the day, the reason for that is so you can build a business of freedom and impact. That's the reason. All right. That's the reason. So That's what I want you guys to do. So Jody, I feel pressured with a lot going through my head, but I'm narrowing it down and reaching some specifics barely. Thanks for the great webinar. Valuable, easy to understand meaning and challenges. Love it. Love it, love it, love it. Thank you, Jody. Great. Same thing, Jody. Right. Miss Irene, timing was everything. Absolutely perfect for me. Heck yeah. Irene, what's up, Irene? Outstanding. You're so much appreciated and displayed this at the perfect time with perfect everything. That's, oh man, I love it. Love it. That's what I'm aiming for, guys. That's what I'm aiming for. Cool. There's so much here, guys. Thank y'all big time. We're going to head out if there's no questions. You guys have an amazing, amazing rest of the week. Let's kickstart the year. Here's my one call to action to you. Okay. Make a decision today to change something. I literally got out of the shower today, getting ready for this call. And just like everybody, I think no matter what levels there are, it's easy to still have imposter syndrome, because when you look at some of the things that you haven't accomplished that you want to, or some failures that you had that stacked up after a string of wins, and none of the failures were big, right? They were just like little things over time, just weren't working out, and that can kind of wear in your confidence. I got out of the shower. I've done most of my personal planning, like I said, and I'm going to be in Vegas and LA next week. I'm going to be at Ryan Pineda's podcast and then golfing with him in Vegas. And at my coach, Craig Ballantyne, I'm going to be with him in LA next week. And so I got out. I'm like, okay, I'm not only coming on this call today for everybody else to help motivate them. I can't show up and not do the things I'm asking people to do. And one of the key things that I am getting back in track once again is the fitness side of it. There's been parts of my life where I was absolutely crushing it on the fitness side. I'm talking like full blown ripped a couple of years ago, 8-pack almost, like full blown. I was ripped. Okay, I'm not there. I'm not there right now. Now, a lot of people probably look at me and go, "Man, you're fit." I don't feel like I'm anywhere near where I want to be right now. And so I asked that question. I said, "Okay, well, just desire alone doesn't solve it. I have to have desire. Then I have to design what I want out of the fitness part of it. I have to know why I want it. I have to know why it's important to me that it happens. And then I go into and go, okay, why have I been in default mode then? Okay, recognize that I have not been making decision. Okay, what are the things I can do right now today to make that happen? Okay, and there's a couple things. Number one, I want to get my diet dialed in and my macros dialed in. So this week, I'm going to be reaching out to people and making it happen. Number two, I want to have a more dialed in daily workout fitness program like I was at one time. And I'm going to be making some decisions this next 7 days to lock that in, with the coach and with some other things. So you guys are going to be seeing me go through that journey. It's not going to happen immediately. I got to go through the momentum meter pendulum swing for transformation to happen, but it's going to happen, y'all. So appreciate you guys. Have an amazing, amazing rest of the week. Love you, buddy. Love you, Chris. Good to see you guys. Carrot.com/epic to apply to the Epic program. If anyone is interested in your, you are in or not in the real estate space and you're looking for one-on-one coaching, I am going to be very, very particular on the type of person I coach, and it's not cheap, but DM me on Instagram. Okay. Just go to find me on Instagram, DM me and say, hey, I'd like to talk about one-on-one coaching. I'm taking 1 to maybe 2 one-on-one clients this year. And like I said, I've got one right now. He's crushing it. And from my perspective, my motivation is I want to sharpen my saw by working with and coaching amazing leaders. I want to be able to take what I'm learning and help prove out even more deeply some of the deepest models before the public sees them. And I want to see you absolutely blow up and transform the key area of your life, because I want to see you transform other people's lives. The person or the people I'm going to pick, like I said, it's not going to be a small investment, but I want to help you get 10x return on that investment in this next 12 months. And I'm going to work my butt off to make it happen. The trigger for me is someone who is able and willing and ready to step in and impact the world in a greater way. All right, guys, hit me up on IG if you're interested. We'll talk soon. Love you guys. Have an amazing year. Talk soon.